This is my city, and I will protect it from those who seek to destroy it. I am the...
Batman!
What?
You're blind, and you use sonar to see. Just like bats. Batman would be the perfect name for you.
No. I'm blind, and I prefer the night. Just like daredevils.
Finish this sentence for me. Blind S.A.
Daredevil.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rollin' 20s. We are the show that's taken on our Visionaries animal totem. Muskrat love anyone? I am Jeremy.
Steve. Jesse.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Tumblr. Like us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. The music you heard at the beginning of the show is by Machina Supremacy. You can find more of their discography for free download at machinasupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard is Daredevil Should Be Named Batman. This was done by Dorkly. You can find more of their videos on youtube.com under their channel of Dorkly.
I've watched that one. That one was amusing.
Yeah.
We have a Tumblr?
Yes. I broke down and opened a Tumblr. It's that the Rolling 20s show.
Okay.
Not much on it as of yet, but it's one of those options where I was posting things on Instagram and I kept seeing that Tumblr option. I'm like, might as well break down and do it.
Yeah.
So I've gotten busy on there. Well, not
that
sexually.
Sounded
but,
really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I caught that right after I said that. How are you two doing?
Oh, thoroughly screwing up my sleeping schedule today.
Excellent. Right up there with par. I just got mine back in order, and I finally was energized, and I spent the whole day out at a car dealership watching them work on my gold Scion.
Ugh.
Joy.
Yeah,
it's a great thing to do with boundless
fun.
energy. Yeah. Let alone, I realized I was going to miss lunch, so I walked down to a place I wanted to go to, got there, and realized they'd been closed for I don't know how long. The place just no longer exists, so I stopped at a gas station, picked up some trail mix and Skittles and a bottle of water, and went back to the car dealership. And the annoying thing is, as I was driving out, I realized if I had gone a block in the other direction, there's like a California pizza kitchen, there's a couple burger joints, there's a P.F. Chang's. There's a couple of places I could have gone if I had just gone the other way.
Man.
It's like crap. So now I'm loaded up on nuts and sugar, and that was my breakfast and kind of lunch. I didn't feel like eating much till after I got back, and I had some tuna sandwiches to kind of flush all that out. Ugh. Not been the greatest of days for me. It's been an upbeat month. At least I was only accused of sexism once this month.
Oh.
Only once?
Is that a record?
Once is a record, yes.
Okay.
And it was all over a comic book fact. I just wanted to correct someone who was about to start arguing about supposedly sexism in regards to the Deadpool film. Turned out to be nothing, but they listed out a bibliography of books that Gail Simone had written, and they wrote that she relaunched Deadpool. That didn't sound right to me, so I went back and I double-checked everything, and it turns out she didn't relaunch Deadpool. She launched the Agent X series, the Deadpool spin-off book.
Oh, right.
So I just made that correction, and all of a sudden somebody starts slamming me, calling me sexist, and trying to deflect from the situation. It's like, it's a fact, though. It's an actual fact. You don't know me. You don't know what my arguments are. And she just kept saying, isn't that usual? They're gaslighting the conversation when things don't go his way. It's like, what the frick? Why is everyone deciding to work in all kinds of weird sub-speak that just doesn't make sense in colloquial English? Please.
Makes himself sound important. I don't know.
I suppose. It was the usual thing where I wouldn't let go of the situation because I don't like being accused of things I don't do.
Yeah.
And finally another woman came in and said, I work with sexism every day. I've read through this whole post, and by now it's like 3 days long. And she says, that's not sexism. What he said was true, and you won't answer it. I don't know why you're being so venomous at him. And all of a sudden the original accuser just says, venomous? Well, I could go into it, but I'm just not going to. I feel like dropping this. It's like, oh, great. Okay, fine.
Good. Shut up.
Whatever. You don't want to admit that you made a mistake, 2 mistakes technically at the beginning of all this and just started something? Fine.
Yeah.
But, that's how it goes. Fun days. The subject of this week is Gotham Academy, 1 through 4 by DC Comics. We'll get into that after we get into the news of the week. And to start off, we usually start with Marvel Media News. That is those are the Marvel properties that don't end up on the comic book pages. They end up on your movie screens, your TV screens, your computer monitors, your books, everything but comic books. And I will warn you guys this week, I had to cut. We are within the normal amount of stories we have per week when it comes to media stuff and overall stories, which is fine. But there's more than twice the usual amount of Marvel media news this week.
Well, we're getting pretty close.
A lot of things have happened.
A lot came through, and believe it or not, when I say that, I counted it out. There is 20 stories, and I trimmed that back from 56.
Whoa!
There was a lot happening.
Wow.
So don't worry, it's still going to be a normal size show. It's just other stuff came in unusually, small this week, while this came in big, strong, like Liam Neeson strong. You know what I'm saying? So trust me, there's time for this. There are 2 new clips that came out, 2-minute-long clips in regards to Captain America: Civil War. And after I saw these, I told myself, these are the last of these I'm going to bring up on the show, because I'm sure most of us are chomping at the bit to see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The early reviews are incredible. Some people I know that have seen it, that work in movie theaters, have called it the ultimate in fight porn. There's just action from... Yeah, they said there was action all over the place. But I have 2 clips, one involving Paul Rudd meeting Captain America for the first time, and the second one I'm going to hold in a bit of a reserve, because as soon as I watched the full version of that, I started to drool uncontrollably. I'll give a setup for that later. You want the first video with Paul Rudd and Chris Evans?
Yeah, might as well.
All right. I sent that video.
How about our other recruit?
He's raring to go.
There's Hawkeye going for the van.
Had to put a little coffee in him, but he should be good.
What a way to get introduced to your heroes, right?
What time zone is this?
And realization is dawning.
Captain America.
Mr. Lang?
It's an honor. I'm shaking your hand too long.
See the Scarlet Witch creeping behind him?
Captain America. I know you too. You're great. Jeez. Look,
Remember what happened between him and the Falcon?
You know a lot of super
Yeah.
people, so
I'm waiting for that.
thanks for thanking of me. Hey, man. What's up, Tic Tac? Good to see you. Look, what happened last time?
It was a great audition, but it'll never happen again. I'll tell you what we're up against.
Something about some psycho assassins?
We're outside the law on this one. So if you come with us, you're a
Bucky in the
wanted man.
distance.
Yeah, well, what else is new?
True enough.
May 6th.
Well, nothing new for me.
Yeah, I already bought a ticket to that film. It turns out that there were still openings on May 6th at the back of the theater in IMAX 3D.
Huh.
And if you go to see it opening night in IMAX 3D, they give you a special poster on the way out.
Nice.
Cool.
The second clip, dude, this is the one that really got me going. It is an extended version of what happened between Bucky and Tony Stark in regards to that fight in the cafeteria with that bizarre mini glove he was carrying.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. It involves a lot more than you think, and once you see what happens in full context, you really get an idea as to how fearsome the Winter Soldier is. I sent that video. There he is, facing off with some randoms. Like Tony sneaking up behind him.
We're in position.
Turns on the thing. He uses a weak repulsor. Now watch this. There's the fight with a gun, and he shoots into the glove. Gun's ruined. Still gets his ass whooped. And that's Agent 13. And the Widow.
Widow?
Oh, watch this. Body slam.
Oh.
She's got him, but no, she doesn't. Power bomb.
You could at least recognize me.
You see who that is now? That's the Panther.
Oh, yeah.
And he is not backing down. Check
Nope.
this out. Met you up here.
And he took the long way.
Yes, he did. Now, do you see why I can't bring up any more clips of this film? Because I'm eminently curious, but I'm afraid I'm going to ruin something.
Yeah.
There's still 3 weeks between now and then, and just those 2 clips, I want more of this, and I mean a lot more. Yeah, I'm looking forward to May 6th now. I think this is cool.
Yep.
The director of the Black Panther solo film upcoming, Ryan Coogler, he actually helped develop the character of the Black Panther for the Civil War movie.
Cool.
According to Kevin Feige, he said, quote, Ryan came in and watched the movie. We did a little bit of additional photography here and there, and Ryan did a pass at a couple of those scenes, so there's a line or two that the Panther says in the movie that Ryan contributed to. Chris Marcus and Steve McFeely, the Civil War screenwriters, absorbed it into their draft and put their spin on it and their words to it. But Ryan has started to be involved in earlier cuts of the movie, unquote. That portends very well for the Black Panther solo movie if he's already working on stuff.
Yeah.
Because he came in just an observer and he already started adding lines and they said, that's good, and we'll just polish it up here, and there you go. That means he's already got a voice for this character, and it's going to be strong. And there's a little bit of news now about the follow-up to all of this, the end of Phase 3, Avengers Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2, that are going to be in May of 2018 and 2019. One of the Russo brothers, Anthony Russo, said that the 2 movies are distinct films.
Really?
Quote, yes, quote, the movies are very, very different from one another. It's not a Part 1 and Part 2 scenario necessarily. They're just 2 different expressions. I think it creates a misconception that we're shooting them at the same time, unquote. Even one of the screenwriters, Stephen McFeely, added to that saying, quote, I will agree, the 2 movies are very different, and that was very important to all of us, unquote. Paint me curious. I want to know more. Because obviously Infinity War will have to do with Thanos and those damn stones. But if you're going to have 2 vastly different movies, a year apart, I think there's one movie that fits in between them at the least in the schedule. Where's this story going? Especially
absolute
since
crushing despair and then finally hope at the end of the tunnel. I don't know.
Absolute crushing despair. We're going to find out that the Kardashians are the ultimate evil in the universe.
I think that's already been established.
That follows up with the news that the Inhumans movie has been pushed back to an undetermined date. Filming is being delayed due to changes in the Marvel Cinematic Film slate and competition from another Disney-owned film. There is no announcement as to where the current date for the Inhumans is. I wonder if that has to do with either the success of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or possibly the moderate success of the characters in the comic books. The Inhumans have a higher profile in Marvel Comics, but it's not exactly a huge one. You know what I mean? So I just wonder if things have not taken off the way they thought they would, so they're delaying it and possibly thinking of something else to put in that slot. But there is one character who has been announced as appearing in Infinity War for sure. Chris Pratt's going to have to shine up his helmet because the Star-Lord will be in the Avengers Infinity War. There was only an announcement in regards to Pratt, not about any of the other Guardians of the Galaxy characters. According to James Gunn, the director of the Guardians movies, quote, the movies are intended to be a culmination of everything that's happened before in the MCU, so you don't want to get into spoilers, but I'm a big fan of what James Gunn has done. I'm sorry, this was according to Anthony Russo. Quote, Joe Russo and I are both big fans of what James Gunn has done. Star-Lord is a fantastic character, and Chris Pratt is an awesome performer, so you'll be very excited, unquote. Curious and curious. And Kevin Feige went on to tease a very different Phase 4 for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In other words, what comes after the Infinity War.
Phase 4?
Yes, there is a plan going forward. Quote, I think you look at the comics as a guide. I think there will be a finality to moments of Phase 3, as well as new beginnings that will mark a different, very different, a distinctively different chapter in what will someday be a complete first saga made up of 3 phases, unquote. I mean,
Warner Brothers, DC, take notes.
Well, if I had to take a guess, I would say that this Infinity War will probably be where Robert Downey Jr. takes a final bow from the universe. I have nothing against him. He's a great Tony Stark, but he is 50.
Yeah.
You know, sooner, and it's going to be another 3 years from now before the end of Infinity War. He's going to be 53, 54 by the end of all this, and sooner or later, age has got to catch up with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even assuming he's not the one in any of those Tony Stark, Iron Man, armor shots at all, the non-CG ones anyway, it's still got to be just exhausting, as well as the amount of time he's got to put into it. He's making great money, I grant you that, but sooner or later, it's got to be a drag to be in red and gold armor for 6 months out of the year every year. And I gotta imagine he's got other things on his plate to do. I don't think he wants to stop his career necessarily with Iron Man.
Yeah.
No.
So I take it you guys saw what came out on Tuesday.
I have not watched it yet.
Doctor Strange?
The Doctor Strange trailer dropped in the middle of Jimmy Kimmel Live.
I did not watch it.
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch came and did it. It doesn't show a whole lot. It shows almost none of the Doctor in costume. Most of it is set-up shots, and you got to remember, at this point, they're still filming the movie, so just about all the shots they use in the trailer are obviously the scenes that they've at least completed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts to paint a very, very curious picture as to what kind of tone this movie's going to set. And I know I don't have to ask. I sent the video. It's a Green Band trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what else you expect from Marvel movies, frankly.
Water.
Broken glass underwater. Well, you got to remember, Stephen Strange didn't start out as a mystic doctor.
Nope.
No, he started as a neurosurgeon.
Mm-hmm. Well
His
paid
hands
and
got
highly
jacked up.
regarded.
That you think you know.
Yes.
In a car accident.
Mm-hmm. There he is in, I presume, Tibet.
Looking at the world through a keyhole. You've spent your life trying to widen it.
I like how they're showing the different
Your
phases
work
of his
saved
life.
the lives of thousands. What if I told you
Him as a doctor compared to the moments where he can't do it
is
anymore.
one of many?
I don't believe in fairy tales about chakras or energy or the power of belief.
There's the ancient one.
You wonder what I see in your future?
Check this out.
Possibility.
Punched his astral self out.
That was one hell of a hit.
Look at this trippiness.
Why are you doing this?
Alright, I know I didn't take any acid, but dude.
Look at this.
So much you don't know.
Baron Mordo. Okay, it's Inception.
Right there.
And he fell.
Teach me.
I'll be honest, that thing they were standing on when she punched his soul out looked like the symbol for Lionsgate. Not Lionsgate, Legendary.
Look at this, the final scene. Recognize that window?
Yep.
I don't.
That's
That
from
win-
his Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yep. That's the seal of the Vishanti. That's the central window in the Sanctum Sanctorum. His house in, I think, I want to say in downtown New York, functions a lot like the TARDIS. It looks like a small 2-story brownstone as soon as you step inside. Frackin' huge. Multiple layers, multiple levels, and at the top antechamber where he ends up practicing and performing most of his spells is the seals of the Vishanti in the window. Still have not seen the Eye of Agamotto, but that's not a big deal. Although this trailer does exactly what I hoped. It did the same thing that the movies of Captain America and the series of Daredevil did for me, in that I am now extremely curious about a character I had no regard for before.
Yeah.
I need to see this movie.
That's what trailers need to do. Build up suspense, build up curiosity.
Yeah.
Don't show us 3/4 of the film.
Yeah, but there is one actor who already says he would like to be involved when it comes to Doctor Strange. He's not yet, but he would like to be.
Who?
Quote, in some hypothetical world, I don't quite know when, for Loki and Doctor Strange to share the same frame would be very exciting indeed, said Tom Hiddleston. Because Benedict Cumberbatch is an old friend, so I think it would be interesting to see who would get the upper hand, unquote.
Wow.
Somebody asked him about the real likelihood of such a crossover, and Hiddleston stayed pretty cagey. Quote, truthfully, I do actually know at the moment how many more times I'm going to play Loki, but I'm not going to tell you. It's not personal. It's just keeping it fresh for all paying customers to enjoy their films, unquote. That would be an awesome film, man. Benedict and Hiddleston on the same screen playing around with high-end magics.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be an awesome... Sign me the frick up, dude. Just write it down now. I want to see that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of controversy, though, when it comes to Thor Ragnarok. Have you guys heard about that?
Mm-mm.
It's a bit of a surprise because Natalie Portman as Jane Foster is not appearing at all.
Uh-huh.
From the indications I get, it sounds like she's almost entirely out of the Marvel universe at this point, the cinematic universe. And she's been quoted before as saying that she's really not interested in playing the role anymore. Who's in right now is an actress from Creed, an African-American actress named Tessa Thompson, who's been cast in an unnamed major female role for Thor Ragnarok. Rumor is right now she's going to be playing Brunhilde.
I'm not familiar with that.
Brunhilde is the name of the character who the Avengers and Defenders called the Valkyrie.
Oh. Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people are upset with Natalie Portman leaving. They say that's a terrible thing. Me, personally, I think I've discussed it with you guys, not necessarily in the show. I've never been a huge fan of Portman's work. She's been serviceable, but I don't think she's really hit any home runs, in my personal opinion. Now, I do have two things to say in this regard. One, if Portman is leaving or has already left, she's missed out on an incredible opportunity because, as soon as Chris Hemsworth is done being Thor, the next conversation is going to be the Jane Foster Thor for the Marvel Cinematic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's missed a hell of an opportunity to play a brand new role. And two, I have no truck with Tessa Thompson as an actress. I really haven't seen her work. I don't know. I know people will rail against the idea of a black Valkyrie. However, I think it needs to be reminded that the Asgardians in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are hyper aliens. They're not Nordic as they are in the comic book, so there is a lot of leeway here to have a brand new version of Brunhilde.
I mean, they've already shown, one of the Asgardians in the previous movies as, being pretty much almost Asian in a way.
There is an Asian Asgardian.
Right. So
I can't remember his name, but he's been in the comics that way.
Yeah.
Hogun, that's his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big change for the movies thus far, though, is Heimdall being a black actor.
Gotcha.
I have no issue with that.
I thought he did an excellent job.
I didn't say he did bad. Idris Elba's a great actor. It's just in the comics he's always portrayed as an Anglo guy with brown hair. But again, the comic books portray these characters as actually being Nordic gods, so it makes sense that they be primarily white people. Whereas these movies, again, they're extra-dimensional aliens. So you don't have the same requirement to make them all of Nordic history.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how the internet is. There's going to be hate and vile spew and all this stuff over people that don't deserve it. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm not even saying we can stop it. All I'm saying is brace yourselves. And Kevin Feige says that very soon there will be a new announcement when it comes to a director and actor for 2019's Captain Marvel. He told Fandango, I think we'll be announcing a filmmaker in the next month or two and probably some cast members later in the summer. At the end of the summer, unquote. I say that I've been waiting for this type of announcement. I really have. I want to know who's going to play Carol Danvers. I think Captain Marvel is a very underserved character, both in comics and just in the media in general. However, the timing of this announcement has got my attention.
Okay.
He said that in the next month or two, they'll probably have a filmmaker, and then sometime at the end of the summer, they'll have an actor announcement or some kind of casting announcement. What else usually happens towards the end of the summer?
Right.
Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con. And there's no D23 Expo this year. What do you guys think? Possibility?
I
Definitely.
say, yeah, it's sounding
strong possibility.
Yeah, strong possibility.
I don't know. Would you say this is enough of a news item where we may have to tag team on Friday and Saturday to get into the Hall H?
You know,
Yeah.
I've never been to Hall H. You know, after going these past, getting in wouldn't be a bad thing.
I'll tell you what, after the show is over, we should have a conversation, because if we're going to make plans for that, we got to get a list of people, because if it's going to be just us, we will all be stressed out and tired.
True.
Agreed?
And probably
Yeah.
baked too.
Yeah. So we will discuss the possibility of doing that. And the creators of Daredevil have been tapped to be the masterminds of the Defenders miniseries for Netflix.
Really?
Daredevil Season 2 showrunners Marco Ramirez and Doug Petrie will run the Defenders in a similar capacity, and Drew Goddard, who worked on both seasons of the show, will be the executive producer. You think that's a positive or negative? Because I have no
this could be a negative.
Well, I have no truck with anything they did on Daredevil. I really don't. The show's fantastic, even though there are some gaps that I wish were filled in. Let's put it that way. The issue I have, though, is that they've painted such a different picture between Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and the few snippets I've seen of the Cage show indicate that it's going to be something different than the other two. So do you want one vision in regards to all four of these characters? Does that make sense? I think you got to talk about bringing in another EP and maybe a showrunner from Jessica Jones to make sure everything else is balanced at a minimum.
It kind of depends, too, though, on how they want the Defenders as a whole to play out compared to... Because, I mean, you read, like, X-Men. It's got Wolverine. It's got, you know, all these characters. Then you read the individual books, and sometimes they vary quite, you know, widely as far as, like, the overall tone. So sometimes, I don't really see that being a really big issue.
That variance, though, is sometimes necessary and sometimes not. And a lot of the characters on Daredevil, with the exception of the ones who are definitively either side characters or there for comic relief, have pretty similar tones overall. I just worry about possible character dilution, because now you've got actors who are used to being run one particular way, and then they're going to be run another way.
True.
And the Netflix shows are not under the run of, you know, Marvel Entertainment's cinematic universe, which means they don't have one overriding voice in Kevin Feige making sure that everything is played to a tone that befits the characters. They're going to be more micromanaged, let me put it that way.
Okay.
So
yeah, that is true.
I'm just concerned that everything is going to have a more Daredevilish tone when that's not really a tone that suits characters, especially like Iron Fist and Cage, who are more like a buddy cop comedy. I'm not saying it's going to suck, it's just a concern of mine. You know, goodness knows, not everything Marvel does can be a home run, right? Speaking of the Netflix series, Finn Jones, who's been cast to play Danny Rand, the Iron Fist in the self-titled series, he is taking this seriously. According to Jones, he's not just studying martial arts right now, he's also studying Buddhism and Eastern philosophy to get in the zone.
Yeah, I do remember that was remarked on before.
No, this announcement just came out April 12th. This just came out on Tuesday.
Really? Because when I remember before, he said that he was both going through a lot of personal training, and he was also studying Buddhism.
Yep.
I remember that being announced.
Before, all I had was the acting announcement. This is new news. Okay. He said, quote, "I love the character. What really drew me was the character and the story. I really enjoy how he's a superhero with a real heart, but has a spiritual element as well. I think it's going to be an exciting character to play because there's this contraction on one hand, or I guess he meant contradiction. That's a typo there. On one hand, he's from a very wealthy family. He's a billionaire. On the other hand, he's been in this world of Kunlun for a long time, and where he's learned Kung Fu and a Buddhist philosophy. I feel like there's a contradiction in those two elements that's going to be really fun to play," unquote. Jones said to Entertainment Weekly that he's diving into Kung Fu and Wushu with a bit of Tai Chi. He's also doing extensive weight training. Quote, "At the moment, I'm in the physical preparation for the role. Every day for the last month, I start my day with about 2.5 hours of martial arts, which is Kung Fu and Wushu mixed in with a bit of Tai Chi and other stuff as well. In the afternoon, I do weight training with a trainer to bulk me up and get me physically right for the part. And in the evenings, I've been doing meditation classes and learning Buddhist philosophies. It's something I've always dreamed of doing as an actor to bridge spiritual discipline with a badass superhero. This is the kind of role I've been waiting for a long time. Now that it's happened, it's like a dream come true. I'm super excited," unquote.
Oh, he's gonna be missing sugary foods for a while.
Not going to miss it because he's going to meditate them all out of his house. He's just going to levitate them away. Iron Fist is supposed to start filming later this year for release on Netflix in 2017. Dude, if Kristen Ritter is coming and other Marvel Entertainment stuff is coming, I pray Netflix brings all of the Defenders for once. This might be the only chance we have for him to see him at Comic-Con before they start filming Iron Fist and the Defenders.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do, that's another thing where I think we'll be sitting through just trying to figure out how to get into Hall H. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The collaboration film between Sony and Marvel for Spider-Man has an official subtitle now.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm on the fence. It's being called Spider-Man Homecoming. Is it because he's coming back to Marvel? Is it because there's a homecoming dance? Is it because he remembered where Uncle Ben was shot? What happened here? There's so many possibilities for that name.
Yeah. I hope it's a placeholder name and not an official one.
Well, according to the actor playing Peter Parker, Tom Holland, he said, quote, it really is a homecoming for the character, because throughout the story, Peter is trying to find his true identity and where he really belongs in the world, unquote. I'm very much on the fence. I don't quite know. However, if the casting rumors are true about who's supposed to be the central villain of this movie, screw it, I'll watch it anyway.
Who?
Batman.
What's the rumor?
Batman is going to be the villain in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Batman.
According to Variety, Marvel and Sony are in early talks to have Michael Keaton play the unknown villain in this film.
What?
Oh. Yeah, I heard about that.
I think that's incredible, because I sat there staring at a picture of him from Spotlight, one of those more recent movies, trying to understand what in the hell could he be doing. They're not going to have him play the Green Goblin. He doesn't look like a Venom, but he does look like a Vulture.
That's what I was thinking, Vulture.
He would make a great Vulture. Or, if they wanted to, if they didn't have the rights tied up with Fox, I'd say he could do a great Mole Man too. But no, as far as he's definitely not going to be Kraven the Hunter, but he could make a great Adrian Toomes, the Vulture.
I mean, it's kind of nice to see them pull some other villain out of the box for him.
Well, they made it very clear this is not going to be an origin story. They're going to push past that, so they seem to have no problem getting into brand new territory here.
Good.
And they've also revealed some casting as to two classmates Peter Parker's going to have. Laura Harrier from One Life to Live has joined the cast in a significant role, but an unknown role. Tony Revolori, who starred in the Grand Budapest Hotel, has been cast as his nemesis in school. Is there going to be an Indian Flash Thompson? I don't know. They haven't named what either of these characters is playing, or either of these actors, I should say. So I don't know what exactly this means yet. Now, in news that should be a surprise to no one, Fox has officially said that they've decided to rehire Ryan Reynolds and the original director and writers for Deadpool 2.
What a shock.
Yeah.
If frankly, I'm surprised it took them this long.
I'm pretty sure it's been in place, and they just like, hey, did anybody... Oh, yeah, we should probably announce that.
Before they start beating down the gates for another one. I had issues with the movie. Not major ones, just some character foibles and some comic book stuff I couldn't quite ditch from the back of my skull. I'm not saying it's a crap film. There was just some stuff I would have really liked to see. And being a Colossus fan, their portrayal of him was just way too weird for me.
My only issue was him in metal form eating cereal.
I had issue with him eating cereal. I had issue with the fact that he never turned human. I had issue with him... I had issue with him getting choked while he was in metal form. That's not possible.
I don't think he was getting choked. I think it was just the strain from her pulling on his neck. Because I didn't. He was
getting choked. He was making gasping sounds.
I didn't hear that personally, but yeah, I don't know. That was kind of an intense scene. So
and then the near cartoony Russian accent he had the entire film.
I just thought that was hilarious.
I thought that was too much. But it's a personal standpoint. However, Fox is working on another movie that could make or break how the X-Men go from here on out.
Okay.
Writer-director Josh Boone has just turned in the second draft for a script for the New Mutants movie to Fox.
The
The movie was announced in May of 2015 as something that they were working on, but as of April 2016, the official secondary treatment, in other words, the rewritten script, has come in. Simon Kinberg has previously called this planned film a young adult movie. That makes me want to bash my head into the Xavier grounds.
Yeah.
Because let me frame this up from my standpoint. I perfectly understand that the New Mutants are supposed to be the secondary wave of classmen for the Xavier Institute. I perfectly understand that they're supposed to be between the ages of about 14 and 17. However, you set up a cinematic universe where it's very clear there's already a ton of Xavier students. And quite frankly, I don't think you need to try and play it as a young adult movie. That makes it sound like you're trying to dumb it down. Just tell an intricate story. That's what these characters are meant for. They're meant for long-form storytelling.
Yeah, but... Oh, man, now that they've classified it that way, I can just see it.
Yeah, Cypher does nothing but read books and get wedgies all day.
At least there won't be any sparkly vampires.
Well, we might have a sparkly werewolf, remember?
Oh, that's true.
And there's the techno-organic character Warlock. He might be sparkly.
I don't think so.
What about Cannonball? He's sparkly while he's blasting?
Yeah, but he's not a vampire. Although he is immortal.
I want to say one of them has been a vampire at one point. I think Mirage has.
Well, if they include Jubilee.
I think we're getting way off topic here.
Yeah, just a bit.
This was miscategorized. I should have had this earlier. Apparently, one of the Lord of the Rings actors has been cast in Marvel's Iron Fist, possibly as one of the main villains for the season. His name is David Wenham. He's going to be playing the character of Harold Meacham for this series. Harold Meacham was a partner to Danny Rand's parents in the Rand Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been described as a ruthless corporate leader with Danny Rand's parents at the time of their deaths. What role he plays in Danny's past and future will be revealed over the course of the series, unquote. That's curious. Sounds like they're going for an older take on Iron Fist's origin.
Yeah. Who did he play in The Lord of the Rings?
I don't know. You know how I feel about those movies. I kind of tune out most of the time they're on.
Yeah, I've only seen the first and I have seen all three of them, but yeah, I was just curious because I don't have a face to put to the name. Looking
at his face, he looked vaguely like the son of that weird warden in the tower when he was trying to burn himself and his son alive.
Oh, gotcha. Fair.
He looks kind of like him. Yes, it's hard. Again, it's hard for me to pin it down because although I don't like the movies, gotta admit the makeup on those movies was all on point. Everybody's wigs look natural. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little lost as to that. It has been announced though that Funko is working on a new set of pops based on Jessica Jones. You know, Funko, they make those bizarre little 5 and 6 inch things with the button eyes. They're working on Jessica Jones Funko Pops. Can't say I want one of the title character. Bring me a purple man.
Yeah.
I want to see a purple man. I want to see David Tennant Funko with purple skin. That's awesome. I might actually buy one. And last up when it comes to Marvel Media news, ooh, damn it, Hot Toys will not let go of my wallet. I haven't bought one yet, but they threaten me every time. Take a look at the link I sent you, because they just came up with a new Avengers version of the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, damn.
The one of her in her full uniform. I did not know that coat she was wearing was that layered.
Wow. You
know what I was doing there down front?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 4 or 5 layers up there. I didn't know there was that much to it. I really appreciate the different stylized hands here. There's 3 pairs of hands. There's the standard ones with the gloves and the rings, and then there's ones that look like clear-colored acrylic that are red to make it look like she's beginning casting, and a third pair that has miasma all over him, so it looks like she's definitely mid-casting.
Yeah. Well, and
actually,
it looks like her hair is
separate.
Kind of like, Barbie hair or something, because it keeps shifting from picture to picture.
Yeah, well, the Hot Toys figures, they always have some kind of nylon hair pinned into the heads whenever possible. If it's short cropped hair, they'll just, that will be molded. But characters with longer hair, especially female characters, they have the strands. And you're right, Jesse, that miasma appears to be extra sets.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the full mock-up or the full list of things here. Yeah, there are 3 pairs of hands, a stand, and 2 things of miasma to go over the hands.
Yep, and that gun she carries.
The gun?
I'm kidding. I do like how Toy Arc has it laid out here so you can kind of compare it to the prior ones. Actually, looking between the two, it's hard to tell which one I like more. They're both very good. Although there is something special
one of them's more casual and the other one's more of a uniform.
The second one is her from Age of Ultron, when she had no uniform.
Right.
Although there is something to be said about this special accessory of Have Ultron's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty nifty. Morbid, but nifty. Now, if you're asking why I had so many damn Marvel media stories, part of the reason for that was because I only had 4 DC media stories this week. 4 total. I didn't have to crop this out in the least. It was kind of weird how little information came out, but I guess now that we're past Batman v Superman's opening, information's becoming a lot more scattered and guarded.
Yeah, they're probably licking their wounds a bit.
I don't want to get into that because I don't want to be accused of something. I don't want to be accused of trying to kick them while they're down. They had a rough time. I don't know how rough of a time you can have when your movie still is projected to make somewhere between $800 and $900 million, but still, they're having, a critically rough time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
However, it has been announced that Ben Affleck is to direct and star in a Batman solo film upcoming.
Okay, so he has confirmed that. All right.
Yeah, the announcement was made at CinemaCon in Las Vegas this past Tuesday. It appears to be part of a new deal between Affleck and Warner Brothers. In other words, the contract was just signed so that he will do both. They didn't sign him to a multi-picture deal, it looks like. A Hollywood agent did say that he already read Affleck's very cool Batman script. So Affleck has been, I guess if he's already got it this far, he was probably working on this at the same time he was making cameo appearances in the Suicide Squad and filming Batman v Superman. He had to have been working on that while he's just sitting there in all that armor just going, damn, it's hot. But it sounds like a positive. I still have not seen the film, but everybody I've talked to, even the ones that don't like it, say that Affleck was a pretty damn cool Batman.
No argument there. He was pretty good. The script was pretty bad.
We've seen several movies where that's happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just waiting for the podcast today, and I was watching Starship Troopers. I'm looking at all these actors saying, these are really good actors, and this movie is crap. It is a bad movie. I still watch it because it puts a smile on my face, just because I know it is that bad of a movie.
Yeah.
Didn't know when it came out it was a bad movie, but now I'm sure. However, David Ayer has come forward and started defending the reshoots of Suicide Squad, saying that the reshoots are not for humor. He put out on Twitter, quote, "Suicide Squad reshoots for humor is silly. When a studio loves your movie and asks you what else you got, go for it," unquote. So in other words, he's saying that the reshoots are not necessarily to add more humor. The reshoots are because somebody at Warner Brothers liked what he did and told him to make more.
Maybe you're putting a little more depth into it? I don't know.
I don't know, because I'm trying to keep an open mind. The Suicide Squad is the first movie that doesn't lean wholly on the legacy of everybody knows who Batman and Superman are to establish a movie. This could be really good, except, I want to know if the same executives were the ones who told Zack Snyder, what else you got? You understand my concern?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm worried that this movie, if they like him as much as they like Zack Snyder, does that mean I'm not going to like this film because I don't like their version of cinematography? I don't know. I'm still going to see Batman v Superman probably somewhere in the next few days here just to satisfy my own curiosity and so we can have a good conversation about it without me just asking a ton of questions and listening to you guys moan for about 2 hours.
I don't know. I think I would at least be able to keep my complaints short and succinct, but yeah.
It's still a passable film. It's not god-awful, but it's nowhere near good.
See, I don't know what that means, because passable, for all I know, is that means I didn't fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Oh, you might.
I saw reports of some people on Twitter who said they did, so I'm really confused.
David passed out. I kind of tuned out during the middle of it.
I'm really concerned. Okay, but in the middle of the MTV Movie Awards, Warner Brothers did decide to drop a new trailer for the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I can sense your trepidation. I watched it. This trailer makes me want to watch a movie.
Okay, that
believe
bodes
that?
well. I don't know if that's false advertising, but we shall see.
That's the thing. I don't know if all the best scenes I don't know if all the best scenes they've shot are in this trailer or not. But this trailer makes me want to see a movie. So I'm trying to think more positively. I sent the video. The White House.
Gentlemen, White House.
Ladies.
Conference.
What if Superman
Amanda Waller. Early
Superman.
Killer Croc.
Shh, do you hear what he's talking about, though?
rip off the roof of the White House?
The argument is, what if Superman went
grab the
evil?
president right out of the Oval Office. Who would have stopped him?
Well, not that guy.
No, definitely not.
I want to build a team of some very bad people who I think can do some good.
Y'all jokers
Sounds
must
like
be
Nickelback.
What?
This is the deal. You disobey me, you die.
Rick Flag, yeah.
Try to escape, you die. You got a boyfriend? You irritate or vex me,
I'm known to be quite vexing. I'm just forewarning you.
you die.
If they get caught, we
I will be honest, I expect that kind of speech from Amanda Waller.
You would think so, but maybe she's trying not to make herself known and become a target of these people.
That would be smart.
Yeah,
Flag has always played the role of the handler of the Suicide Squad when he's involved.
This guy.
There's been multiple Rick Flags throughout DC history.
Not good. Don't forget.
You know, you're right. Why didn't they start with this one?
I don't know.
Chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
This actually has more character moments in it.
I think their iteration of Joker. But
Yeah, still not.
What you gonna do?
what the hell's an eye?
Yes, I want to see something.
I don't know. I heard something about that, but
I was just trying to get you there. You know how it feels, right? We good.
No, that's something Deadshot would do, actually.
it is.
What you having?
Beer.
Whiskey.
What am I, 12?
How about you, hot stuff?
Water.
That's a good idea, honey.
Okay.
Where was this before?
I don't know. I don't know what their previous focus was because I was never able to figure it out. This actually looks rather amusing.
I'm still concerned that we just saw all the best parts of the film.
That would be disappointing.
That I can't guarantee. But at least that actually seems like a more varied and a more tonally acceptable film, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a dark and dour. It still seems like it's going to be desperate, but it doesn't seem as desperate. I have heard that Katana's role in this film, the reason why she's on this team, is not because she did anything wrong. It's because she's the one playing Rick Flag's backup.
Gotcha.
Which is reasonable. Speaking of which, the last part of DC media news I have is that there is a new set of statues coming out based on the Suicide Squad. The original story on those came out regarding Toy Fair 2016. DC Collectibles has just released images of their Katana statue. Take a look at this. It's not quite my cup of tea, but it's a pretty darn good piece. I don't quite know who made this. It's not Sideshow quality. It's not quite there. Oh, it's by Fukuhara. Oh, no. Sorry, the actress is Karen Fukuhara. It's going to be 12 inches tall. It's going to retail for $155. Yeah, I don't have any information as to who made this.
Yeah, the only thing I keep seeing is just DC Collectibles.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
No, it goes along with the set. It apparently is in scale of 4 other pieces: Killer Croc, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and Deadshot. It's nifty. It's just not quite what I'm looking for. At least you get a good idea of what the costume for Katana is finally, though. Her scenes are always so quick. At least in the trailers we've seen, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say if you're a DC fan, at least, that's very much a pickup.
Yeah. I got nothing against it. Again, yeah, I agree with you. Not my cup of tea either.
Yeah. Okay, from here we'll move into general media news. We'll talk about the nerdy properties that are ending up in the media that are not Marvel and DC related. And first off is another trailer. It is the trailer to the latest J.K. Rowling-based film, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It is the story of magic in America.
Yep, New York.
Yeah, it's due out November 18th, 2016. I have the trailer. Do we want it?
Yeah, sure.
You know, why not? I didn't like the direction that the original Harry Potter stuff did, but that was based off of books, and I always have an issue with movies based off of books. So
I appreciate that, but I mean, if you want to see it, that's fine. Just don't make it sound like you're making a choice between ointment or suppository, okay?
I'm just saying, I have hope that this will, be okay for me.
All right. I sent the video. Warner Brothers. In the film franchise that people still want to see. I know, low blow.
You're an interesting man, Mr. Scamander. Just like your suitcase.
Hello,
I think there's much more to you than meets the eye.
Whoa.
Hello, gremlins.
Looked like he was smuggling through a Nightcrawler clone.
Endangering human life.
No, apparently, the suitcase contains his magical menagerie.
Argued strongly against your expulsion.
So it holds everybody in New Jersey, huh?
What makes Albus Dumbledore so fond of you, Mr. Scamander?
See, his name is Scamander?
To America?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Must get that fixed.
Anything edible in there?
Not unless you're really hungry.
No.
Any livestock?
No.
Nice glamour.
Welcome to New York.
So wait, Harry Potter took place in the early 1900s?
No, this is a prequel.
This guy right here is the one that writes the book that the Harry Potter and his class are all reading from.
Learning. He wrote textbooks they refer to later. I'm not even a fan of that, and I picked up on that just in the trailer.
Basically, spoilers. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but basically,
spoiler: Dumbledore dies.
he loses the suitcase and has to try to get it back.
So it's like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo or some shit like that?
Well, the movie's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It sounds like he's looking for something. Him too? Okay. Might have to squeeze to get past that.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I'm not necessarily curious. I understand why people are, though. It's a nice bit of fantasy. It really is. It's just, it hasn't caught me, that's all.
Yeah.
But I do have another trailer here from the other end of the spectrum, I guess you could say. This is from Japan's Toho Studios. It is the trailer of the newest Godzilla movie from Japan.
Oh.
Okay.
Long-standing series of Harry Potter movies. We'll check it out. I have a trailer from a Godzilla movie, first one in a while. Ooh.
Well, I don't know. Being that America's failed so hard at making them, maybe Japan has a better success rate.
I haven't watched it yet. I've seen a couple GIFs from the trailer. I'm a little worried, not because they haven't used CG in it. I'm just kind of worried that their basis seems to be make it look like it's a giant man in a rubber suit running around. Again, that's from GIFs. Maybe I'm wrong here. I sent the video. Let's find out. Toho Scope.
Language I cannot understand.
Growl. Whoop. Tail.
Whoa.
Tail. I've watched a lot of these movies growing up in varying formats. I've watched reruns. I've watched Mystery Science Theater versions of them. I've watched black and whites. That still looks like a guy in a giant rubber suit to me.
It does, but you know what? Considering how fail the CG effects and everything have been, oh well. If they at least come up with a good story, then that would be plus on them.
Yeah, I don't think the CG effects in the American films have been the fail. I think it's just been lack of knowledge as to how to write a monster movie in this country.
Mm.
You know, I can't remember the last monster movie that was actually interesting. I guess the last one I could think of would be Cloverfield.
I never even watched that one.
It was all right. It wasn't terrific because it was a found footage film. You know, one of those things where it looked like everything was taken from a handy cam. So it was all subjective, and it's much easier to make believable special effects when everything already looks grainy and jumpy, you know? So, yeah, you know, take it for what you will. If you're a fan, you're a fan. Whatever I say is not going to change that, obviously. Capcom is jumping into the VR market. They've announced that they're going to be making Resident Evil Bioterror.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be a VR game. There's no announcement as to when they plan to come out with this. According to a report from Resident Evil fan site Biohazard France, Resident Evil Bioterror will be an on-rail shooter, likely with a 360 freedom of movement. So it's going to be more or less a shooting gallery title, not exactly a survival horror game.
Yeah.
That's a little disappointing. Oh, it could still be very terrifying. It's just that was half the reason why people played the Resident Evil games, was not just for the terror, but the fact that you're actually wandering around all these locations. If it's an on-rail shooter, you don't have that possibility. You know, there's quite a difference between an on-rail shooter where you're just kind of dragging around and trying to shoot at the next thing that pops out for you, and then trying to open a door and something's trying to fracking eat you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, VR is still kind of new, and they're still trying to figure out what can work.
I know. I guess I guess the only way I can accept this is the understanding that it should be a stopgap on the way to a better version, in my opinion.
Yeah. That
would be my acceptance of this. I can, however, tell you that according to Deadline, Dentsu Entertainment USA has partnered with Man of Action Production to create a new Mega Man animated series.
Really?
It's supposed to coincide with the 30th anniversary of Mega Man. It's scheduled to come out sometime next year, supposedly.
Hopefully it's not as campy as that last one.
The last one I remember was a Japanese animated Mega Man, something to do with discs or watches or something.
Oh, I'm talking about the one from the 90s, actually.
Oh, well, everything from the 90s was campy. Haven't you gone back and watched any of it?
No, I choose not to.
You should really try. You will find out how much your intelligence has come in the last 15 years or so.
Oh, I already know. I've seen clips of Thundercats already.
Oh, God.
Oh, watch whole shows.
Silverhawks. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Tiger Sharks, Karate Cat.
Oh, God.
Heathcliff. Frickin' Heathcliff, dude.
Watchmaster.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
Centurions?
Okay,
Yeah.
again,
Hey.
tangenting. Disney must be pretty happy already with what they heard. The Jungle Book just came out this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But before it
Wanna
even
watch that.
came out, this past Monday, Jungle Book 2 was announced as being in production.
Wow.
Huh.
The movie hadn't even come out, and they said, we got something, let's do another one. And while I was driving around today after work on the car, weekend's not even over. They're already calling Jungle Book the winner of the weekend. They already say it's far and away the biggest seller so far this weekend. Batman v Superman, as far as I understand, fell to 4th. Zootopia fell into 5th. I think The Boss is in 3rd, and something else that came out this weekend hit the number 2 spot. So, you know, not exactly a contentious movie, period, but I'm sure they're getting the results they want, you know? You guys grow up with pop-up books like I did?
I've experienced a few.
You know, you open the pages, sometimes they're 3D, you pull a tab, something sometimes happens.
Yep.
I'm familiar, but yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Well, I feel like I grew up in the wrong era. Matthew Reinhardt and Emiliano Santa Lucia have created a Transformers pop-up book with transforming characters.
I heard about this.
You pull a tab and things actually change from plane and cars into robots. All you have to do is pull a single tab. This is coming out via Best Pop-Up Books, Best Pop-Up Books reviewed the title and posted a page-by-page look at the transformations. Some of them even involve Optimus Prime as a 3D truck. You pull a tab and he stands up in robot form.
Huh.
Bix?
Yeah. The book is called Transformers: The Ultimate Pop-Up Universe. Actually, I can send you a single GIF. I could send you the whole story, but it might take a little while to parse through, and I don't want to spend all day on this because you're going to drool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, check out this GIF. It is actually of Starscream and Bumblebee, both single-pole transformations. And rather impressive, too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would hate to be the person that had to do the math and engineering to figure out how to make these pictures transform like this.
Seriously, not to mention the people that had to print it.
Oh, God, the printers must have been going, these people are freaking insane. What's wrong with them, man? I think they're autistic.
Screw printing and putting it all together.
There's another trailer that came out this week for an animated film we talked about before. This is the anime from Project Ito, Empire of Corpses. If you recall, this is the story of somebody whose friend died in a steampunk 19th century London. He's trying to find in this steampunk society, animated corpses are the form of slave labor, and after his friend dies, he's looking for the notes from Dr. Frankenstein on a true full resurrection to bring back his friend.
I do not remember this.
I have not seen the trailer. This will have a limited theatrical run, actually, this coming week on April 19th and 20th. So you could actually see this in theaters if you're in a metropolitan area, which means you two, not happening.
Yeah.
Do you want the trailer for Empire of Corpses?
It doesn't sound like my cup of tea, but yeah, why not?
It's not necessarily my thing either, but at least looks very well produced. I sent the video. Project Ito. Funimation Films. Okay, this will definitely have a stateside release. Select theaters, 2 days only.
I suppose
based on a novel series.
Explaining my work.
Oh, it's in English too.
The thing I require first and
animated by the studio behind Attack on Titan. Well, that'll put butts in seats.
The strange interest of an outstanding London University medical student.
Oof.
Unauthorized corpse reanimation and the use of illegal necroware. You really managed to get through quite a bit in a short time. I'm quite impressed.
Very well produced.
Do you think I never expected to get caught?
So let's make a deal then, shall we?
Very fluid.
Victor's notes are exactly what we've been searching for, Friday. It might even prove your theory true.
Investigate the Corpse Kingdom and secure Victor's notes using any means necessary.
Can you speak? What's your name?
He's a little angry.
You went out into the world.
Hear me, Charles Babbage!
Track down the one.
You sought the notes. You sought the soul.
This is dark.
Secrets of the soul.
Guide all of mankind to its salvation!
The rest is up to you!
The imagery, although very dour, is very impressive.
You found your way here.
The tone is extremely consistent.
And thus the result is this.
Now, this is supposed to be the first in a set of films telling a story in the same universe over different time periods.
Huh.
If I remember correctly, the next one is Utopia. Apparently, it sounds like things go well and they've created a society where people never die, but there's still class struggles throughout. And the question of what do you build Utopia upon?
Corpses, apparently.
You know, I can't say it's something I'm going to add to my Blu-ray library, but it is something I'd like to see once to understand what it's all about.
A little too dark for my tastes.
Okay, would you consider the original Star Wars trilogy too dark?
No.
Because Alamo Drafthouse is bringing back the original Star Wars trilogy to the big screen for a period of time.
Okay.
Actually, it's a very short period of time. Between August 6th and August 27th, they will have single screenings of the original Star Wars trilogy. And it doesn't say whether or not these will be the retouch versions or the original versions. But you can watch all 6.5 hours of movies all in one seating. On August 6th, there will be screenings in San Francisco, Kansas City, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York, Miami, San Antonio. On August 7th, they'll be in New York and Dallas. August 11th through 13th at Austin, Texas. August 13th at Philadelphia and Louisville, Kentucky. August 20th in Oakland, California. And August 27th in Boston, Massachusetts. You guys want to come back to L.A. a couple weeks after Comic-Con to watch some movies?
I think San Fran sounds a little more doable.
Yeah.
It is the special edition films. It's not the original ones from the 70s and 80s. It's the special editions that were made in 1997. Doesn't make them terrible movies, but I still feel like Lucas kind of overstepped. He tried to get a little too imaginative when he reimagined these films. You know what I mean? But if you want the tickets, they are available for pre-order right now at returnofthetrilogy.com starting May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, that's what was running through my mind.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm on the fence about that. As interesting as that would be, that's still a case where I'd have to sit in a theater full of people who would probably clap and cheer at little things instead of just sit back and enjoy, the film experience.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's not like I don't already own them all on Blu-ray anyway, so...
I know. It's one of those things
where... VHS tapes of them.
Well,
Actually,
if you're looking for...
might too.
If you're looking for a family night out, that might actually be a very cool thing. Show your kids Star Wars on the big screen like you might have seen it before. However, when you're like me and your kids are kind of meh on Star Wars, it almost sounds like a more fun thing to do would be to just grab the DVDs and a bunch of people who don't care, like pack 20 people in a living room, grab some popcorn, and start chatting, That almost sounds like a more fun time to me, but that's my personal standpoint. There is a Star Wars novel that will reveal what Han and Chewie were up to after Return of the Jedi. It's a new novel that will flesh out the gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. The book is by Chuck Wendig. It's going to be called Aftermath. And it's... Oh, I'm sorry. Originally, there was a book called Aftermath. This new book that comes after the point of Aftermath will have the story of Han and Chewie. It doesn't say what exactly the title is. It just says that this book is coming. I don't have a date, unfortunately, either, so you have to check your local retailers or Amazon.com and find out when this is coming. Last up in general media news, my computer is generally used to watch videos with headphones because I worry about other people's privacy. I just want to hear it myself because if I start blasting music and all kinds of stuff, I don't want people bursting in wondering what random crap is coming out of my area. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Except there is now a speaker I would pay $220 for, and that's because I'm a goddamn goober. It has a 1,000 milliamp battery that promises you at least 6 hours of streaming. This came via a producer called Fancy. You can get these on Amazon.com for $220. It is a floating, rotating speaker that looks like the Death Star.
Wow.
You laugh, it lights up. I would totally be behind this. Check out this speaker.
Oh, it literally floats.
Yes, I wasn't kidding when I said floating. It floats. You can spin it and rotate it, or you can just have it still if you have the fingers and the OCD time. But it lights up so it looks like like it would in a Starscape. I think this is a damn nifty thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a lot of use for speakers on my computer. I would create uses for this thing. Hey, my birthday's coming up. And they laugh at me. Okay, now we have Marvel comic news. We talk about the Marvel properties that will end up back on the comic book pages. And not a lot of stories on Marvel Comics this week. There is a new story that in regards to Civil War II, this is going to create a shakeup in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book as of issue number 7. That is a Civil War tie-in. Phil Coulson's leadership will be called into question because he's created the Coulson Protocols. He's been using his fandom of superheroes to find out their weaknesses and kept records of it. But because of the question in leadership, someone else is going to be put in charge of the team that you usually see on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series. No identification as to who it is. However, the cover is not very friendly because it depicts a montage of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters Daisy, Agent May, the Mockingbird, Phil Coulson. I think that's supposed to be Agent Fitz. And in front of them all is Iron Man in handcuffs with a lot of barrels pointed at him. According to the writer Mark Guggenheim, quote, "They're suffering the repercussions of the end of the first arc, the Coulson Protocols. Over the course of the first arc, we got to see how Coulson's love of superheroes can be weaponized and turned against those superheroes. As a result, I would say the team is cohesive and together, but the biggest problem is everyone is not feeling as much faith in Coulson as they did at the beginning of the series," unquote. He went on to say, quote, "I'll say that as a result of Civil War II and how the events of how the book ties in, we are going to have a new person in charge of the team. The arc is called Under New Management, and we're going to have a very exciting person from the Marvel Universe that will be calling the shots in the book. And not everyone is going to be on board with this change of management," unquote. I still haven't read the series. I get the feeling I should look it up at some point. You know, I've always had trouble picking up comic books based on relatively normal characters because I'm looking for the unbelievable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although, there was an Image comic. Ben Santini and his team of normals.
Oh, Stormwatch Team Achilles.
Yes, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah. I didn't say I haven't seen bad books in that regard. They're just not ones I look for.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show me something, and besides which, that was already called Stormwatch, which was previously a superhero book. I bought it just because I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So, you know, figures. I'm a mark. What can I say? It has been announced that as of Captain Marvel issue 6, that will be her first Civil War tie-in, and they'll be adding writers to the book for the Civil War tie-ins. Chris Anka will still be doing the art, but he'll be joined by writers Christos Gage and Ruth Fletcher Gage, who will be taking over from the original writers Tara Butters and Michelle Frazekas. I really hope they don't shift the tone of the book too much. I was enjoying those first few issues.
Yeah.
According to Ruth Fletcher Gage, quote, "It's safe to say that Carol's been evolving from being a soldier to a leader for some time now, and her involvement in Civil War II is a logical progression from that. She's going beyond and just leading a team of other heroes. She's taking a stand, actively gathering others around her, and fighting for a cause she believes in, a cause opposed by others who feel equally strongly about it," unquote. Okay. All right. I buy that explanation, at least. It sounds like they do have a positive idea as to where to go.
Mm-hmm.
She further said, quote, "For Carol, it would be a dereliction of duty to have this incredible resource, the inhuman Ulysses, and not use it to save lives. How could you avoid the chance to prevent a bombing or to save hundreds from an earthquake?" Unquote. And her husband continues, quote, "She can't. It's her job as a soldier and an Avenger to intervene in these things. And anyone trying to stop her is threatening the very lives she's trying to save," unquote. Wow, it sounds like we know where they feel about the Civil War. I like the fact that they're writing a very complex lead character. Love that. I really don't want a loss of where they've been going with the book. I guess just have to wait and see. However, Civil War II is going to debut something that we haven't seen since the 90s. Steve?
Mm-hmm.
It's the return of the Power Gloss Metallic covers.
Really?
Power Metallic Gloss is exactly how they described them. The covers are scheduled to be illustrated by Marko Derdevic, who's going to be using a shiny metallic ink on heavier paper stock, and the publisher says it's going to add a, quote, "glossy shine and sleek finish," unquote.
Wow.
According to Marvel's Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing, David Gabriel, quote, "Civil War II is poised to be the biggest comic book of 2016, and we wanted to give retailers covers that really popped off the shelves. Much like what readers saw with the deluxe cover treatments of Secret Wars #1 and Invincible Iron Man #1, you can bet this cover will look like nothing else on the rack," unquote. Unless you were there during the 90s. During the 90s, we saw a lot of that crap.
Oh, man.
A lot. At least the writing has finally come to a point where it deserves it, you know?
Yeah.
Jesse, you okay? Did you die?
Muted.
Okay. The Squadron Supreme, Marvel's mismatched heroes from other dimensions who are teamed up in the Prime Universe, they're going to get a cosmic-level female villain and a return of a character they may have murdered.
Okay.
One of their own, Warrior Woman is going to turn into a cosmic-level villain, according to the writer of the book, James Robinson. They want to turn her into an A-grade villain on the power level of Thor or the Hulk.
Wow.
That's an interesting thing. But the returning character who they may have murdered, as of issue 9, it starts the arc called Finding Namor. It's the return of the Submariner. Now, remind you, in the first couple issues of this book, they killed the Submariner by pulling his head off.
Really?
That's very definitive.
I know a lot of people when they heard that online said, "Yawn, comic book death doesn't mean anything." And I just kind of posted back. I knew I wasn't going to change minds, but I posted back. Who cares about death? Death is just another writing tool in comic books. But if you can say you pulled the head off the Submariner, there's a reason for other characters to fear you. Because goodness knows Doom has never done that.
No.
And last up in Marvel comic news is an announcement that if it hadn't come by now, I was going to assume somebody at Marvel was superbly stupid. Brian Michael Bendis, the creator of the Alias comics, which is where Jessica Jones started out, he's announced that he is working on a sequel series to Alias. He said that it wasn't an official announcement, but he said this at a Marvel organized panel, and frankly, when I was at WonderCon, he said roughly the same thing, that he was working on a sequel. I just didn't put it out there because it was one of those cases where there was no formal announcement, and work on a book doesn't mean it's coming out.
Right.
But this is the second time he said it, and Bendis himself said during Emerald City Comic-Con, quote, "After Civil War II, you can look for a return. I genuinely think you'll be surprised by what we do in the first issue. I pitched it actually to Melissa Rosenberg, who runs a TV show at WonderCon, and she said, 'Really? But wait for the initial announcement, because that's not it,' unquote." See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because he's working on a book, and goodness knows I would love to see this book, doesn't mean it's necessarily going to come out until somebody at the Mouse House actually says, "Okay, tell them." Okay, now we have news about DC Comics. We talk about the other side of the aisle when it comes to the major publishers and what they have planned for their comic stories. And as you can imagine, when it comes to DC, a lot of it right now has to do with the rebirth. The Universal realignment, where apparently several things are going to be shifted into a place where they feel that they can gain some more market share. And according to DC's description for Action Comics, Lex Luthor beat Superman and is now intent on as replacing him as a protector of Metropolis, even wearing the S symbol. I'm going to assume this has to do with Superman, the New 52 version of Superman in Action Comics 51, basically finding out that he's dying. When he says he beat Superman, I'm going to assume he beat the New 52 Superman, which is why there's a reason for the pre-52 version to come in and take over the role. There is also a new Superman who is a Chinese character, a young Chinese man who somehow has developed the same type of powers as Superman. No word as to how that happens, but he just started appearing in the comic books as of the last couple issues. And do you guys remember the story as to why this title is no longer called The Superman, is being called New Superman?
No.
One of the writers pointed out to Dan Didio, one of the co-publishers of DC Comics, that the Chinese don't have a word for "the" in their lexicon. That's why they changed it to New Superman. So, that's the beginning of that. And it sounds like our theories are correct, that it will be the pre-boot Superman taking over and the current one will be dying, which is still a sad day for me. I was just starting to like the guy. Like, really like the character. But Wonder Woman's job in the rebirth will be apparently trying to find the lies among the truth. And by that means that with the rebirth, it sounds like the origin of Wonder Woman is again being called into question. I don't know. According to Greg Rucka, who is going to be the writer on the series, quote, "Is she the goddess of war? Was she made from clay? Is she a demigoddess? Is Themyscira really what it's been presented to be? Look back at how many times Diana Mothers, Hippolyta has died. Where's the truth in that? What's accurate? What isn't?" Unquote. I grant you, based on what I know about Wonder Woman's history, all valid questions, seriously. But to that, I don't know if you should be asking us so much as, like, taking a stack of Wonder Woman comics and beating your editors to death with them. Because in the end, isn't it their responsibility to help you find those answers?
Well, I'm assuming that's what this series is about.
I guess so. It just seems really weird that they finally establish a new origin for Wonder Woman. They unify everything so that she is now a demigoddess, and now they're taking away that surety again. This feels like Crisis on Infinite Earths all over again. So that concerns me. They did talk a little bit about the Trinity book coming in the Rebirth. They're ending the Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Batman Superman comics in favor of a book featuring all three called Trinity. Let me see. The writer of the series the writer and artist Francis Manapul is going to be taking over the book, and he said it's all about the three main characters' relationships. Quote, Bruce is apprehensive about everyone and likes to play the part of a loner, but even he understands the value of friends. That doesn't mean he doesn't have a plan to take them down just in case. Clark is a small-town boy at his core, so he's had a very grounded upbringing, contrasting the other two, which he can be in awe with at times. Even though he's an alien, he feels he brings the everyman aspect to the Trinity. Diana's ability to empathize with both Bruce and Clark makes her the glue that ties the Trinity together. She understands that their differences in ideologies is what makes them stronger, unquote. Any opinions?
I don't know. I would probably have to read it to really...
Yeah, it seems... I don't think I have enough information to make a judgment on it.
I mean, he's talking about the relationship between the three characters, but technically, if the pre-boot Superman is coming in, doesn't mean that there isn't really a relationship between the three. He can approximate them all he wants and guess what they are based on where he came from, but he doesn't technically know these people.
True.
Let alone, doesn't it make it kind of awkward when you're coming into a team-up where your prior self has been sleeping with at least one of them? It's a question. And I almost balk when he described the Superman as bringing the everyman flavor, because this is the one that walked across the America even though he had all of his superpowers and was dunking basketballs over kids' heads. I still feel like he doesn't understand the world as good as the current or soon-to-be prior Superman. After all, that guy lost his powers. He finally understood what it meant to be a person. Well, they're bringing some more mystery to Rebirth, and they want to change everything about the Joker.
Okay.
There's a bunch of books coming out about Gotham City, including a brand new book that's just being called Gotham. According to the solicits, quote, Batman will become focused on a mystery that will change everything he knows about his greatest villain, unquote. They either mean the Joker or Alfred Pennyworth, and I'm not quite sure which. Jeff Johns, the chief creative officer of DC, said the previous scene where Batman heard Joker's real name from the Mobius chair will be followed up on as readers learn what the character's real name is. It's about time they followed up on that story. That came out almost, 6 months ago? Jeff Johns doubled down on that statement in this week's catalog, saying, quote, well, at the end of Darkseid War, there's a secret about the Joker that Batman will uncover that artist Jason Fabok and I will reveal, unquote. The Darkseid War is supposed to end with Justice League number 50, which has been pushed back to May 25th. So if you're looking for answers to that, you got to start reading after May 25th. And it's been confirmed that the Batgirl is leaving Burnside, and the first big bad of the Birds of Prey book that she's rejoining will be Oracle.
Oracle?
That's according to the solicits, yes. According to editor Mark Doyle, quote, Babs needs to get away from it all to center herself again. Along the way, she'll meet some all-new heroes and villains and learn some new skills she'll be bringing back to her Burnside neighborhood of Gotham City, unquote. A new criminal operative called Oracle has declared war on Gotham, so Babs Gordon, a.k.a. super cyber hero Oracle in a previous guise, takes exception to someone smearing her legacy. According to the writing duo Julie and Shauna Benson, quote, the book isn't called Batgirl and the Birds of Prey for nothing. Barbara is calling the shots, or so she thinks. Huntress has a mind of her own and is hell-bent on her own revenge agenda, so it will take both Batgirl and Black Canary to keep the Huntress in check, unquote. Mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, serious mixed feelings. I'm not going to say I was reading Batgirl religiously. I just loved the idea that DC finally had something very different in its slate of books. But Rebirth is also talking about a rebirth for the Suicide Squad, which is supposed to get a new recruit. Although I really hope this is a joke.
Oh.
According to series writer Rob Williams, quote, one of these characters will be joining the team. Doomsday, Mr. Mxyzptlk, or General Zod, unquote.
Wow.
What?
I hope that was a joke. I really do.
I hope so, too.
The current cover for the Suicide Squad shows 4 characters definitively. Killer Croc, Deadshot, Katana, and Captain Boomerang. I'm not saying that I'm not going to say that they can't use more power, but that was never really the ideology of the Suicide Squad. The idea was they're always underpowered. They're just the psychos you're not afraid to get killed.
You're right. They're expendable.
Right, so unless you're changing the entire theme of what the Suicide Squad is, I'm not looking forward to that. I don't think that's a good change, assuming he's not kidding.
Yeah.
I hope he's kidding.
I hope so, too. Yeah, what, 2 world breakers and a 5th dimension guy that really doesn't give a crap about your rules.
Yeah. Yeah. However, the new Red Hood and the Outlaws book they're talking about, I know the first one didn't go terribly well for DC Comics. This second one might be one I would read. The Red Hood and the Outlaws team is, of course, Jason Todd, but he's teaming up with Artemis and Bizarro.
Bizarro?
Yes. You know Bizarro, the clone of Superman that does everything.
Yeah, I know who he is. I was like, really?
Artemis is the Themysciran, the Amazonian, who for a time was known as Wonder Woman in prior comics. According to the solicits, according to the writer of the book, who is Benjamin Percy, he previously did Green Arrow. He's setting up this trio of characters to be the anti-Trinity in DC. And given the list of characters they gave, that's a good start.
It is, actually.
Actually, I think I have that wrong. I'm sorry. Benjamin Percy is working on Teen Titans. In Red Hood and the Outlaws, the writer is going to be Scott Lobdell. He's describing them as a fallen Amazon and a Trinity with a Bat character, a Superman-related character, and an Amazonian like Wonder Woman. The goal of Jason Todd is to use the Red Hood identity to infiltrate Gotham from the underworld and take down the various villains from inside. So that's why he's recruited this crew. They are as evil as you can get while still trying their best to follow rules. I actually like that idea in the book. That's a good idea. It's not new necessarily, but it's the right kind of team to put together to facilitate this story. When it comes to Benjamin Percy in the new Teen Titans series, this sounds different. Damian Wayne is going to lead an all-new hand-picked version of the Teen Titans. His squad is going to be himself as Robin, Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Kid Flash. Teen Titans always functioned very well because Dick Grayson generally knew what to do with the team. Yeah. Teen Titans under Damian Wayne, I think he just turned all of them into meat shields.
I still hate that little prick. I don't like Damian Wayne.
He's capable, though.
Oh, yeah.
Besides, he's never going to learn unless he gets experience anyway. It's not like I was a fan of Dick Grayson originally. I just thought he was the weird one that Bruce Wayne kept giving really weird shorts to. Cyborg is getting another series post-Rebirth. This one, I don't have information. I'm sorry. The artists will be Will Conrad and Paul Pelletier. I don't know who's writing it. They're calling it the most philosophical title in DC's new line. According to the solicits, he's going to learn about being a black man living in Detroit. How are you going to learn that when half of you is metal? I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I'm saying that because I'm asking the question. He will have part of the black experience, but the other part of his experience will be he is a near bulletproof super soldier living in Detroit. His worries are not going to be the same as the other people.
I'm
asking
flying at the concept at Deepa, not your bad joke.
No, I didn't say you were. I didn't say you were being mean to me. I'm asking you a serious question. Will he understand the human experience in Detroit?
Doubtful. Especially given his information gathering capabilities and so forth.
Oh yeah.
I just had this bad image of him finally understanding what it meant to be a black man in Detroit as soon as RoboCop showed up.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Isn't he RoboCop?
Not technically, but he is in Detroit, and RoboCop's set in Detroit, so.
More than 50% machine, pretty strong, pretty tough. He could teleport wherever he needs to go to.
That makes him Marshawn Lynch. And last up in DC comic news, it has been confirmed that Lois Lane is Superwoman. This is not the pre-boot Lois Lane. This is the New 52 Lois Lane, the one who exposed Superman's identity in the current comics.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow she is inheriting powers that puts her on par with Superman. However, they've also named the first big villain for her new book. The Earth 3 Ultra Woman. Which, last I checked, is also a Lois Lane.
Huh.
There's a story here. Still no word as to what the overall story of the Superwoman book will be. And all I know is that her confidant in keeping her secret and trying to help her facilitate the job of the hero is her longtime friend and confidant, Lana Lang. What's with the goose honk laughs?
I'm more familiar with her as being a rival.
Now we have general comic and convention news. We have news about comics that are not Marvel and DC related, as well as news about conventions that happen all across the world. And now that it's April, news is really starting to crop up about San Diego Comic-Con. The hotel sale, according to a press release by Comic-Con and On Peak, went well by their approximation. According to their new system, 49% of people this year got a hotel in their top 6 choices versus 38% last year, and 25% got their first choice as opposed to 18% last year.
Well, yeah, because they took all the smaller amounts of stays so they had more rooms available.
I'm not going to get into how they've kind of fluffed their numbers a little bit, because after all, that's what every company does. Every company spins things to make it look better than it is. And I'm not going to say that Comic-Con International is any different. It was just a case where I think that as far as our crew, as much trouble as we had with the sale, would have done better if we just had solid information going in. There were still a whole lot of questions until after the hotel request process had already completed. You know what I mean? Now that we understand it all, I think next year we can do much better. It's just a matter of understanding the system well enough to understand the best way through it. Now we understand that, and no, I'm not going to say that here because, goddammit, I want a better hotel room next year.
Yeah.
So you guys are in as much trouble as we are. There has been a 12th wave of guest announcements, and one of these might make Steve go get a signature.
Really?
Yes. As you can imagine, I'll save that for last. And again, all of these wave of guests will have a special spotlight panel focusing on them sometime during the weekend, in addition to the waves we've already gone through. And I think we discussed the prior 11. In this wave, it's only 3, so I think they're coming towards the end. Durf Backdurf, who's the writer and artist on Thrashed and My Friend Dahmer. Chester Brown, the writer and artist on Paying For It and Mary Wept Over the Feet of Jesus. Don't know either of those personally. However, the last one, writer and artist on the Steam League, Science is Magic, and Ninja High School, Ben Dunn is coming to Comic-Con.
Wow.
Was I right?
That's a strong contender.
Steve and I were big fans of Ninja High School in middle school. Still probably one of the smartest bits of American manga writing you will find, frankly. He made fun of everything and anything.
Yeah, and he did it well.
Yeah, it was believable. We've got news on exclusives for Comic-Con, but not quite the ones we were waiting for yet. Hallmark has already released their full slate of exclusives for Comic-Con.
Hallmark?
Yeah, Hallmark has exclusives every year. They're not exactly big on our personal list. However, some of these will matter more to some of us than others, including a keepsake ornament of the USS Enterprise, the original version from the TV show. It's a special ornament that depicts the original Enterprise for the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. There will be a keepsake ornament of Batman in battle. It's the armored Batman from Batman v Superman. There is a keepsake ornament of a white armored Boba Fett.
Oh, the original concept of his armor.
Yeah, it's a Boba Fett all in white. The character first appeared in Star Wars V, The Empire Strikes Back. It's going to be based on his original sketch and another version that has an alternative head, more or less what it was in the original concept art for his helmet. There will be a couple of Princess Leia and Jabba the Hutt itty bitties. They're small plushies, kind of like chibi versions. Except this might cause some protest because this Princess Leia is the Slave Leia version.
Yeah.
And they're having a Batman 66 Squealy. It's going to be a new Hallmark exclusive vinyl collectible line. The first one is going to be Batman in his Batmobile tearing up the road. So, if you're interested in any of those subjects, they will be there. Sci-Fi has announced that they're bringing the Comic-Con Comic-Con experience to viewers at home. What Sci-Fi plans to do is they're going to do Sci-Fi Presents live from Comic-Con. It's going to be a special that will air nightly, every night of Comic-Con, Thursday, July 21st through Saturday, July 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Via the press release, Sci-Fi is going to bring viewers nonstop action directly to viewers across the country, featuring celebrity interviews, breaking news, behind-the-scenes news reports, and more. They're going to have a hosted live broadcast that will highlight the biggest stars, top franchise reveals, panel news, exclusive sneak peeks of the hottest films, and audience interaction, games, party coverage, and more. Sounds like they're going to do the full Monty and bring cameras with them everywhere around Comic-Con. Attendees will be able to attend the live tapings of the show, which will take place at the San Diego Marriott Marquis Marina, very likely in the new event wing that they just opened up. Details on how to attend are not available as of yet, but they do have a capacity for 300 to 400 people for every live taping. That'd be something we're interested in seeing?
Yeah, might as well. I mean, we'll be there.
Well, I just wanted to ask, because it sounds like it's going to be a separate ticketed or lined event. I want to know if that's something I had to keep an eye out for, or if I should just release it. Sounds like I should keep an eye out for.
Keep an eye out for it, but I would like more information on what they're going to be taping.
Yeah,
okay, well,
specifically.
Okay, well, because our hotel is out near Harbor Island, we might actually need to get a ride if the shuttle takes too long for us. And the good news is that Uber is offering a special code for Comic-Con, SDCCUBLOG, or SDCCUblog. And if you enter that code and you're a first-time Uber user, your first ride up to $20 is free. Definitely going to... yeah, so do I. I'd say that's something we need to keep an eye on, just in case we end up late night somewhere and decide that, taking a shuttle to take another shuttle back to the hotel takes too long. What do you say? And Comic-Con's going to be peak time all throughout that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So, should probably keep that in the back pocket. Say?
Yeah.
Okay. In the Star Wars comics, C-3PO #1 came out, and we have the story behind that red arm.
Oh.
The red arm that disappeared by the end of the movie, if you were watching carefully.
Oh, yeah, no, I recall. Just spill the beans.
The red arm is actually a very, very sad story. C-3PO and a bunch of other droids were part of a resistance mission to grab a First Order protocol droid called RA-7. An RA-7 protocol droid. His name was Omri, O-M-R-I. They were attacked, and the ship crash-landed on the planet. C-3PO, 4 other droids, and the Imperial droid Omri all survived. The humans were dead. So they were trying to get to a rendezvous point. And as you can imagine, over the course of everything that happens, one by one, the droids are picked off until the point where it's just C-3PO and this Omri droid. They sank in like lightning quicksand. They were ripped apart by monsters, chewed on. And then Omri starts to have these weird philosophical moments because he's very aware that the droids can be reprogrammed and repurposed. Their minds can be completely wiped. So he starts to wonder how many different personalities have been in the same body. How many stories have there been that he's just unaware of? Things like that. It's kind of it brings a real sad angle to the droids of Star Wars all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But towards the end, Omri actually feels some empathy towards C-3PO, and then his arm was grabbed by this tentacle-style creature and pulled clean off. It's not like they have pain receptors. You know, he didn't do much more than scream and had to rebalance himself. But they ended up near a small stone outcropping near the drop point, and as the ship was coming down, acid rain started to come down the planet. And Omri demanded that C-3PO stand underneath a small outcropping that only had space for one, and to make himself clear and give C-3PO time to get away, he gave him the data slug with all the information they needed and walked out into the rain. And as the rain is hitting him, he's falling apart. Pieces of him are just coming down, and all the black paint starts to get rubbed away by the acid, and you find out that there's red chrome underneath it. So he was right. He had lived a prior life and had no idea what it was.
Damn.
So that red arm is a keepsake of that mission. Which makes it even sadder that it just unceremoniously disappeared at the end of The Force Awakens. God, that really meant something to you, didn't it? But man, I'm going to start watching these movies and get depressed every time I see a droid now. There is a comic book coming out about a film legend. You don't want to know?
I'm just waiting.
Darby Pop Publishing is coming out with a new series, Bruce Lee, The Dragon Rises.
Huh.
Oh.
It's already in stores. It's going to be the life of Bruce Lee from the from the height of his fame in the 1960s. Shannon Lee, his daughter, initiated a new series with upstart publisher Darby Pop. She's co-writing it with animation veteran Jeff Klein and artist Brandon McKinney. It sounds like it's going to be a story as if... I'm not sure I have it right because there's a very long story here. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be what would happen if Bruce Lee actually lived to the current hope so.
Yeah.
But there's another new comic coming out. This one's based on a TV show. The Adventures of Torchwood from the Doctor Who universe are going to continue as a comic book. This is not just going to come out from Titan Comics as a brand new standalone series. It's actually set in continuity with the recent Torchwood audio plays from Big Finish. It's being billed as the comic is the actual continuation of the Torchwood story. John Barrowman and his sister Carol Barrowman, who have been writing in the past, including Torchwood novels, they're the ones writing the comic. No, I'm not a serious fan of Torchwood, but just knowing that the actors who worked on the series are actually writing the books, the Big Finish follow-ups, and this comic, my God, you could actually get one coherent story. The Torchwood comic's supposed to pick up with Captain Jack's return to Cardiff and his arrival back into the life of Agent Gwen Cooper and her husband Reese. As he goes on the hunt for nefarious technology that's been claimed by a shadowy organization. That does sound like a Torchwood story. IDW is starting a new event for their comic books. It's called The Revolution. It's starting May 2nd. That's all the details I have. They haven't done anything other than a single press release. It just says Revolution. The Revolution begins May 2nd. IDW's had line-wide events before, which is kind of interesting considering IDW's line includes Transformers, Star Trek, and My Little Pony. And G.I. Joe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Some people are trying to understand what that means, and I think I may have found a minor joke in there. Because Revolution is supposed to start on May 2nd, 2016. Don't you usually need a revolution before you have a civil war? Which comes out May 6th. It's a stretch, admittedly. I just thought it was funny. And last up, when it comes to general comic news, James Whitbrook and IO9 decided to put together a list of Darth Vader's best burns. Not the ones on his skin, but the things he has said that really kind of cuts.
Mm.
And for the sake of time, I decided to forego the ones that were from the movies. You know, everybody knows those by now. But one of his best burns was one we've discussed on this show, Darth Vader Annual #1, when the courtesan society is trying to get him to dance with some count's daughter. Picks him up with a force and flings him across the room, and he just says, "Do any others wish to be my partner?" Even better, though, I read the recent Darth Vader comic in number 19. They actually followed up on that story. He was still on the same planet in the realm of, I think it was called Shu-Torun. The count that made such a big deal and the one he flung against the wall was leading an insurrection. He used Imperial forces, hunted him down, and then in some weird underground castle, he's facing him down and says, "Baron Rubix, Queen Trios explained that Shu-Torun are a courtly culture. Now is the time to explain the protocol for your immediate surrender." Then he lights up his lightsaber and says, "Unless once more you wish to dance." Let's see, Vader down #1. He just picked up Dr. Aphra, one of the characters that's original to the comics. He had dropped out of hyperspace in his TIE Interceptor into a small wing of X-Wing fighters. And Dr. Aphra told him that they need to go, they need to leave. And apparently Vader doesn't even look at them as he brings up his battle computer and says, "I am a Lord of the Sith. They are the ones who should be running." And opens fire.
Huh.
Guess who won?
Yeah.
Also in Darth Vader #1, apparently he needed an audience with Jabba the Hutt. Again, this is supposed to be the gap between the prequels and A New Hope in the Darth Vader comic. And as he gets there, 2 bodyguards decide to challenge him, and he cuts them both down with his lightsaber. Jabba makes some notes about, how it's hard to find decent bodyguards and how expensive they are, and he tells Jabba, "I have only killed 2. Do not make me reconsider my generosity." Let's see, the Darth Vader Annual #1, the new queen of Shu-Torun. Apparently the king and his family were kind of testing his patience, so he cut them all down, except for the king's youngest daughter, and made her queen of their people. Which most people would think, why would you leave somebody who has a reason for revenge to come at you, right? So he presents this new queen with a box, and he says, "As a princess, you served your father. As a queen, you serve your people. This is a small reminder of what happens to worlds who resist the Emperor." This young princess turned queen opens the box and finds a rock in it, and she says, "What in the heck is this?" And he looks down on her and says, "This is what remains of Alderaan."
Wow. Whoa! Whoa!
Doe? Let's see. In Darth Vader issue 16. My goodness. The Emperor has recalled Vader. He wants to talk to him about the events that happened during Vader Down. And during this period, the Emperor actually sent 2 people to kill Darth Vader. Because, he's lost Death Stars, the rebellion's getting uppity. He just figures it's time to replace this guy, right? Mm-hmm. Darth Vader kills the agents and comes back to the Emperor. In the Emperor's throne room, he looks at him and says, "Are those lightsaber wounds, Vader?" And Vader just stares back at him and says, "You wish me to prove myself, Master. Give me a fight worthy of my time." That's got to be the most subtle middle finger I've ever heard somebody give their boss. Did you guys see the end to the season closer to Star Wars Rebels?
Yes.
Twilight of the Apprentice?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually listed in here when Ezra says that he's not afraid of Vader, faces him with lightsabers, and Vader looks back at him, lights up a saber, and says, "That you die braver than most."
Right.
Yeah, I remember that line. A lot of people died in that finale.
Yep. There's only 2 more here. This one came from Vader Down. There was a garrison of rebel soldiers, and Vader is encircled by them. Rebel troops all around. He carved a path through them and starships and men on his hunt for Luke Skywalker. And as they surround him, he's holding his lightsaber and says, "All I am surrounded by is fear and dead men." And mic drop. And the last one is the best of all, because this happened in Star Wars issue 2 from the latest series from Marvel Comics. He actually confronted the person he was looking for. He kept feeling the force coming from this source, and he encountered a young farm boy in a yellow jacket. He's face to face with Luke Skywalker and asks him, "Who are you?" And Luke has a blue lightsaber and says, "You killed my father." "I've killed very many fathers. You will have to be more specific." Isn't that kind of a statement when it's just like, "You killed my father"? Not good enough. I need more than that.
I think someone stole that line from Street Fighter, actually.
And last up, we have our WTF Corner. That's where we have those stories from across the internet that seriously have you question, how is it Americans... Actually, it's pretty obvious why Americans are so fat. I think you're more confused why we haven't exploded yet under the weight of our own sedentary nature. But that's a whole different problem. Being that it's the WTF Corner, we always start with video game videos. Those are incredible plays, unbelievable falls, and other items that just make you wish you read more books. And the first one is actually one I'm pretty sure we've never used before. Mortal Kombat X.
Ooh.
Believe it or not, this has nothing to do with the brutality of the game. It's not the most interesting clip I've ever seen, but something happens at the end that was a real curiosity for me. This came from the channel of user Igor Maslov. IGOR space MASLOV. The title of this video is MKX. Predator flies away with a rocket in his chest.
So what, he fought smoke?
Actually, I think it was Sector, the red one.
Okay.
I sent the video. So there's Predator and Sector.
Changing fire.
Yeah, it's a projectile fight. Never like those. It's not very interesting. Oh, they're up close. They're about even. There's not much life for either of them. And here we go with projectiles again. Back and forth. Close to dead. Oh, Sector's down, and the Predator has a missile stuck in there. See that in his chest? And he just walks away with it.
Okay.
Wow.
You just want to stop him and say, you got something right like in your nipple there? Do you want to stop? Okay, fine.
You know, we can still see you.
Oh, well. The next video is... What the frick is this? It's an Elder Scrolls Skyrim video.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, these don't come out terribly often these days. I think most of the major bugs and issues have been found. This one, though, definitely vexed user Mighty Eric. MIGHTYERICK. And he must have a sense of humor, because he titled his video, Fussro, what the fuck?
Okay.
I sent the video. There, you got an option to talk to Lydia. You're up on a very high clip. Do you guys know where this is?
Northern area.
I assume somewhere.
Okay.
Oh.
Wow, okay.
I don't know where all that
all
came
goes
from.
Greater. He used console command.
Yep, and those are all Jarls.
Yeah.
The same Jarl.
And he used the dragon voice, and he's just flung through the sky. And he lands a far way away.
It's not supposed to happen like that.
No, I'm assuming that shouldn't happen. Not unless you got a dragon pimp slap. So he said, what the hell was that?
Okay, so I'm assuming that's because he summoned the Jarl, and I don't think you're allowed to attack him.
Okay, so I guess we'll just try that again over here. Let's see, running. And ice must be slippery because all of a sudden...
Okay!
Off the side of a mountain. You know what?
I've never had this happen in my Skyrim game.
Yeah, just find another checkpoint, because if you're flung twice like that, somebody hates you. That's just bizarre, man. The next video is a game we've only recently started to use on the show, MLB The Show 16. Remember last week we had the weird telekinetic man who would leap 30 yards to catch a ball?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This week we got something else. Because this came from user RPOY70. He titled this video simply, "You've got to be kidding me." I sent the video. Okay, we have Bret Hart on up to bat. Here comes the pitch. And solid hit, but it's definitely foul. You see the shadow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be deep in the stands. Except, come here, ball.
What? Whoa.
That ball just
I call a
curved
foul right
20
there.
Yeah, that ball just curved 20 feet from the stands back into the catcher's glove.
I call shenanigans on that. What the hell?
Somebody stuck a remote in the ball.
Damn drones.
Magneto.
In that case, it's probably more like Rachel Gray. I have a video that when you think you understand what's funny, you will not. It's not what you think is the funny part of this. This came from user The Exile 0117. It's a Star Wars Battlefront video.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The title of it is Ion Shock Fun plus double rainbow. Splatter. That's the literal title. You want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. I sent the video.
So my favorite part about this is what you actually can't hear, but me and my buddy
A little bit of narration here. And these guys have a lot of fun. Watch this. They apparently do use an emote, and they start shaking with each other. A couple stormtroopers just doing the big wiggle. Just laughing themselves silly at this point. But watch this. Snowspeeder!
Oh!
And you were killed by O.J. Simpson. Just when you think you found a safe spot to have a little fun, all of a sudden some drunk asshole in a snowspeeder ruins everything. That was one of those cases where, like I said, I thought I knew what was funny, then the snowspeeder came up.
Yeah.
The last video I've got is another relative newcomer here. It came from the channel of Scott Simpson, and it's an EA Sports UFC 2 video. The title kind of buries the lead, but you will not see it. You will not believe it until you see it. It's called Stockton Slap KO.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I sent the video. So, two guys squaring off. Swing, and he's down.
Oh!
Watch the replay. Look at this back slap to the back of the skull. Puts him on his face.
He just taunts. The guy goes to swing, and he's like, "Get your bitch ass down."
That's a blink and you'll miss it moment, man. And I hope the guy he was playing against was an NPC, because if you're a live player and you're beat by slap to the back of the skull, quit. Just quit. You will not win another game forever if you're watching for a guy who's just going to slap you to death.
I can just imagine the rage if someone lost like that.
Okay, further on in WTF, I got to ask you guys, because you probably go more than I do. Do you enjoy the movie experience?
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean...
You guys, do you enjoy going to the theater and watching movies?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't enjoy it as much. I get more enjoyment out of watching films at home with, like, half a pizza, you know? That's a personal standpoint, just because... And it often comes... It's sort of because of this show. Because of this show, I have to see things sooner than I usually would, which means I'm surrounded by more people who are a little overexcited, frankly, sometimes for what happens in films.
Well, when we live in the middle of nowhere, that's not as big of an issue as living in L.A.
Yeah. Oh, probably not. Probably not. The reason why I asked that is because AMC started a new program. They want to have texting-able theaters. Theaters where you're allowed to pull out your phone and start texting during the movie.
I've already read this story. They've already retracted
me too.
it.
Well, thanks for burying the lead. I just want to have a fucking conversation.
Look, I mean, honestly, the guy that was talking about that, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, but I cannot think of a single theater where people are just like, oh, fuck the rules, I'm just gonna like whip out my son. No, everybody knows what the hell they're supposed to do. Some people forget from time to time, but
Well, first of all, what he's thinking is, I'm in charge of AMC theaters and I have a new program. He is the CEO after all.
Well, that's all fine and good, but
he was
being very condescending with his assumptions there.
I don't think it was being condescending. The idea is he's trying to raise ticket sales by being more friendly to millennials. That was his point, which is not necessarily a bad point. It's not like movie theaters have been thriving in the current era. Yes, movies are making more than ever before, but half of that is simply because the ticket prices keep going up on an almost yearly basis. So overall theater attendance is still down. It's just, I don't think that was the answer. Obviously, he got a lot of acrimony online, which is why he rescinded the policy. The response to his proposal was almost instantaneous. But I think he's also missing the point, which is what makes these other services that are coming up so viable. There's that new service that for $50 you get a pair of movie tickets, but you also get to stream the film at your house the day it opens. One showing, it's not permanent, but I would rather do that, frankly. I would rather get surrounded by 4 people and just, pay $12.50 a piece for a movie, and then we get to order pizza and do whatever the heck it is we do in the living room.
You know what? That sounds like an excellent idea.
You haven't heard about this? It's a new thing that is just being introduced. I don't remember what the service is called. It's Screen something. But for $50, you get 2 movie tickets to watch it later in the theater, but you also get the chance the day the movie opens to stream it in your home. Because that almost sounds better to me. Pay the $50, invite people over, order a pizza. That sounds like an evening. But yeah, it only took about, I'd say about 26 hours before the CEO of AMC rescinded this offer because of the responses he got online. I just don't think of going to movies as that special of an experience anymore. Still like watching movies intensely. It's just going to a theater is not as much fun as it used to be. There are some people, though, I really wonder how they've gotten this far in life. There is an 18-year-old who right now is in prison for live streaming her friend's rape.
What?
Oh, haven't heard about this particular story, have we?
No.
Raymond Gates is a 29-year-old that Marina Lonina, who's 18 years old, met after a bar escapade or some kind of party, I think, with her 17-year-old friend. The day after they met at Raymond Gates' apartment. Apparently, the 17-year-old got blitz drunk, which is not technically that unusual, it seems like these days. However, while she was that blitzed, the 29-year-old took advantage of her, and her friend, rather than stopping this, whipped out her phone, logged into Periscope, and live streamed it.
I have no words right now.
It's a rare form of stupid I'm not used to. She was charged with let me see. Mr. Gates, 29, was charged with intercourse by force, not related to the 17-year-old's age. I'm sure that's a separate charge. Miss Lonina has been charged with illegal use of a minor in a nudity-oriented material or performance, which is very kind considering the multitude of charges she should be on. Let's see. According to Lonina's attorney, she categorically denies these charges. I don't know how you can do that when you frickin' stream it. You were there, obviously. Gates was scheduled for arraignment this past Friday. Court records didn't list an attorney for him at the time. I'm sure there's not an attorney on this planet who is not, assigned by the court who wants to take this case.
Yeah.
Both Lonina and Gates each face up to 40 years in prison if convicted. According to the DA in Ohio, the motive for the live streaming was unclear, but alcohol was a factor. Again, rare form of stupid I'm just not accustomed to. There's a new problem in Japan, though, that has to do with the Fukushima reactor. And it sounds like something you frankly encounter in a video game. Radioactive boars.
Okay.
Okay.
According to The Independent, local boars have been eating contaminated food, which renders them unsafe for human consumption. All the while, because of the lack of humans in the area, they've been breeding out of control. The population has gone from 3,000 boars to over 13,000 since 2014. Just 3 years. And they've managed to more than triple their population. They're causing a problem in the local agriculture, too. They're wandering outside the Fukushima area, and they've apparently caused about 900,000 in damages to farms beyond the quarantine zone. Hunters are allowed to hunt the animals, but disposal is kind of a problem considering they're radioactive, technically. Mass graves have filled up, and officials have turned to incinerating the animals in special facilities to prevent radioactive material from spreading. But those facilities can only handle up to 3 boars a day, and they are now overrun.
Wow.
What do you say? You want to earn 2 experience per kill? Apparently there's a lot to go around. Also, when it comes to Japan and animals, this was a very odd week. Radioactive boars and chimpanzees on live wires.
Uh-huh.
You didn't hear about Cha-Cha, who escaped from Sendai's Yagiyama Zoological Park?
No.
I don't quite know what happened, but his enclosure was left open, and he decided to go on a walkabout. He ended up on top of a power pole. He just kind of chilled out there until he was shot with a tranquilizer, then he got kind of upset. Tried to attack the guy that shot him, wandered away a little bit, then the sedative took over, ended up falling while hanging from a wire, and he took a nasty bump, but he is okay. I will say up front, he's okay, and he's recovering back at the zoological park. He's in perfect health, even though he took a very nasty bounce. And the reason why I know that is because the news was there. Want to see what an angry chimpanzee looks like in Japan?
Sure. Any good laugh.
Not a question you're used to coming your way, are you? I sent the video. So there he is, just chilling out on top of a transformer, yawning. This looks like the beginning of Planet of the Apes.
He's pretty close to electrocuting himself.
Yeah. Look at this. Shoot him with a trank and he just turns around. What? You think you're going to... What the frick, you shot me! Come here, man. I will kick your ass. Come here.
Pulls it out. He's just like, oh.
What? Get back here. Bring that stick. I will beat you with it, fool. That's right. You better run. He starts moving over to the next block. It is amazing he wasn't fried.
Yeah.
I mean, what I thought was you couldn't touch any other wire while touching one. Apparently that is not true. Hollywood has misled me, but he is very fortunate. Whoop, it's starting to take effect.
I think it's because you're not grounded, so the electricity doesn't arc between wires.
Well, it's also insulated.
Wait, you can see him. He's barely got a hold there. The tranks are taking effect. Now watch. He's going to take a nasty hit here. But again, he's a simian. He's okay.
Yeah, we take hits to the head quite often.
Boom.
Oh, they did catch him. Okay.
Yeah, they caught him in a blanket at the bottom. He just took a bump off a banister. It looks like on the second story of an apartment building. And they loaded him up. And again, for people who are worried, he's okay. That was well within the comfort zone of a primate to take.
I imagine he woke up with a little bit of a bruise, you know.
I think he woke up saying, okay, now where's that fool with a gun? Because I got to talk to him. And last up, when it comes to WTF, I do not understand Japan sometimes. They had some ads that had to do with candy, which is not really unusual. And this billboard was in the Shinjuku Station Metro Promenade. It's for a gummy candy called Kanro Gele Puree. It was an interesting idea where you could stick your hand inside these giant-sized versions of the gummy candies and possibly find real versions of the candy as a promotion. Not a bad plan, right?
Okay.
The problem is that whoever designed this really needed to take a second look at this thing because, one, it's creepy. Two, if you look at this promotion sideways, it looks like you're sticking your hand in something else.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Yeah, you can see the gummy candy that's supposed to be the jelly-filled center, but the problem is the way it's ridged and slitted, and if I have to describe it anymore, I'm going to get really uncomfortable here. And it's pink and fleshy-toned.
And it says, get surprise above it.
I know. Stick your hand in, get surprise.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And I know that it's not supposed to be what it looks like, but it does look like that. And all I can think is children are sticking their hands in here. Full-grown adults are sticking their... Yeah, but full-grown adults are sticking their hands in here. And if I'm thinking this, what kind of pranks do you think people would pull with this kind of nonsense?
Yeah.
You get where I'm going with this? This is wrong, man. I know it's not meant that way. I know it's just my twisted sense of humor and stuff. But this is just one of those cases where you really should have ran this through a few more people before you ran with this particular design. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. What do you think it smells like?
Hopefully candy.
I'm done. I swear, I'm done. The subject of the week is Gotham Academy by DC Comics. First 4 issues. It was a book that started in, I want to say, 2015. It is the story of a bunch of kids in a prep school where it also happened Bruce Wayne went there during the young formative years of his life. I wonder if there's a building in Gotham that Bruce Wayne is not associated with, but that's a whole other problem. It primarily has to do with a mysterious character called Olive Silverlock and a couple of, I guess you could say, more or less her acquaintances through the academy and a mystery that starts budding.
Mm-hmm.
The book was written by Becky Cloonan. It was and Brendan Fletcher. The art was by a man named Carl Kerschel. Colors by Geyser with Dave McCraig, and letters were by Steve Wands. The first thing I got to say is this was an unusually fast read.
Yeah.
It flowed very quickly, and I'm going to guess Jesse's trying to say something, but he's muted himself, so he has no idea I can't hear him.
Yeah,
Probably.
there we go. Yeah, I thought it was kind of slow.
Really? Because compared to what I'm used to, this just went really quickly for me. The first issue didn't start fast. The first 3 pages are very dialogue heavy, but after that it picked up quickly. The exposition and the dialogue were pretty minimal, I thought, throughout a lot of the book.
Yeah, it just, I mean, when I got to the end of number 4, I was just like, wait, what?
Do you mean because of the story or because it just rolled that quickly?
Yeah, it just rolled that quickly. I was like, wait, no, I didn't read 4. No, I did. Darn.
Now, the splash page on 4 and 5, when I was looking at that and they're trying to lay out the overall layout of the school and several of the players that you're going to meet and where they're located, as I was looking, I'm just thinking, so, let me see, that's Arkham Asylum, that's the medical wing over there, there's a security building. Oh, that's not it? Oh, okay, fine.
No, I had this thought of, all right, when's the Mystery Machine coming in? That was a thought coming and rolling in the back of my mind the entire time I was reading it. Where's the Mystery Machine?
The writers put together an interesting multicultural cast here. That's usually kind of an issue for even today's writers, to put together a cast of so many different characters of different genealogical backgrounds. But they managed to do it here in a way that didn't seem at all forced. It seemed pretty natural the way this group of people was placed throughout the school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I was kind of curious about the young Japanese girl who had a nickname of Maps, which seemed very 1980s anime to me. That's the best way I could describe it. I didn't say it's a bad character. It was just, when I first met the character, I was internally groaning because I thought, okay, here come the stereotypes. But they really did manage to shy away from that a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I thought that a lot of these characters were going to hit stereotypical notes is when they suddenly veered off into another direction. And to me, that's a good thing. There was a lot of unexpected turns in this book. I'm waiting for you guys to speak because I think I'm overriding the conversation.
I don't know. I was expecting, the typical high school or junior high. I'm not quite sure what age they are, with all the drama and everything. And it started going in that direction as far as, the bullying and everything else. The mystery was there, but it surprised me how quickly it veered away from that. And it really just started to focus on the mystery. So I was very pleased with that aspect.
I think you're being nice because when I first started reading this book, I was expecting like a comic book version of Toy Soldiers with Sean Astin. So, as far as setup issues go, the first one, like I said, it started out dragging just a little, but it picked up steam relatively quickly. It was a little bit off-putting how damn sullen Olive Silverlock was through the first issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it took a little while to get to the point where you're like, okay, what the heck is the secret? What's going on?
Yeah, she was a constant wet blanket.
Yeah.
And
it obviously has something to do with Batman.
Batman, yeah.
It does. It took me a while to understand that. I'm not going to get into that till we get a little deeper into all this, because every time Batman's signal came up, the bat signal, she got even more depressive. But the issue really started to pick up towards the latter third of it, around pages 12 and 13, when she and Maps were climbing the belfry to get a better look at a supposed ghost in the North Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of color got into the panels.
Yeah,
even if it was a sunset.
Yeah, but because of the old, broken down nature of the belfry, Maps nearly falls over the side. Olive grabs the belfry's bell rope to get her, which causes it to ring. Bats fly out and scare the both of them, so they drop even further, and then they ended up in front of a window where Bruce Wayne is giving a keynote speech to the rest of the students.
Mm-hmm.
That was almost a cartoon-worthy moment, frankly. And I did kind of like the dialogue of the random students of, Jones, get your camera! No way!
Yeah.
I have kids, and I thought that was a very decent juvenile dialogue, frankly. Writers sometimes have trouble capturing the weird impulsiveness and euphemisms of kids. I think this guy nailed it, frankly.
Yep, I was thoroughly annoyed by their dialogue, so yeah, I think he did.
I wonder how deeply connected Bruce Wayne is to the faculty here, because it seems like he knows an awful lot about certain members of them.
Well, the thing is that this seems to be taking place on the old Cobblepot
manor,
cemetery,
manor, and whatnot. That is this school, and didn't he know him growing up, or weren't their families somehow interconnected?
I don't know what the current history is, because I don't know what the post-Flashpoint version of Batman's history is.
Post-Flashpoint, if I recall correctly, there were 4 major families, Wayne's being one of them, Cobblepots being another. The Cobblepots got disgraced, the Oswald Cobblepot became the Penguin and some crime lord, and there are 2 other families which I don't recall who they were.
I'm going to guess Bruce Wayne didn't have a whole lot of interaction with young Cobblepot growing up, because, post-shooting and everything, he probably would have been very sullen and withdrawn, and the dialogue I got from the book made it sound like he was probably only here for a couple months before he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the academy, I should say.
Yeah.
Probably because he just wasn't fitting in. So
it seems like, some of these people, teacher-wise, you should know them from somewhere else already.
The inference
I thought they were
got
making clever puns against, Clue.
In a way, yeah.
It seemed that way. What I got from researching this series is that most of the characters, if not all of them outside of Bruce Wayne, are original creations in this series.
Okay.
But they're a new chapter in the Gotham mythos.
Yeah, it just made it seem like you should already know these people, that there is a backstory with these people, which, works out for it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Bruce Wayne was apparently trying to date or stood up one of the teachers.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened a lot during his periods of bat swinging and everything. But the last part of issue 1, as Olive is trying to talk to her roommate and convince her that there's no problem with a ghost, that last panel where you start focusing on a crack in the wall of their dorm room, it's that silver eye staring at them, that was a nice setup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it creepy. I would almost call it typical for comics, but I'm not saying it's a bad typical. It's kind of a storytelling element you need to bring people back in for the next issue.
Yeah, it's a hook. It's a story hook.
Mm-hmm. The second issue starts with a different mystery, as Olive is sitting and reading the memoirs of Millie Jane Cobblepot, apparently a favorite book of hers. And again, the bat signal shines in the night. Mm-hmm. Which is how she noticed 3 cloaked figures running through the school grounds. One of which looks suspiciously like Batman. This second issue really spent a lot of time on Olive's arch rival is not the right word. I guess you could say opposite number.
Oh, what was her name?
Started with Palm, but I don't remember her full name. Something Fritch, which sounds like a Batman villain's name, but I don't believe it is. Pommeline.
Yeah.
Her name is Pommeline. Whereas Olive is relatively proper and just very quiet, Pommeline is more outgoing and rough around the edges. I don't want to say goth or emo. She's just very upfront and wears her heart on her sleeve. She doesn't hide anything very well.
Yeah, and apparently very into the occult.
Yeah, that definitely came out in the second issue. Was I the only one who, on page 5, when you start going through the options these kids have for in the cafeteria, Papadums, Tuscan bean soup with Parmesan, fresh fruit salad with cream, I would have been the one tipping over trays in this school. This is so fracking annoying.
Well, and the kids are actually asking, the heck kind of potato is this? I don't know. I just went with the soup.
Yeah. What's a sweer potato? No idea. Got the soup. And I'm gonna play the crap out of Macbeth. Oh dear God. Yeah. Oh, and there's a neat in the book, or a hikimori. A shut-in.
Oh, okay.
A non-vocal shut-in. Somebody who was just working on notes in a book and art and drawing like manga figures in them.
Yeah.
And he nearly freaks out when she tries to touch the book and clean it up from a spill.
Well, because
definitely
he was drawing her friend.
Yeah, definitely a hikimori though.
No, he was definitely out in the open.
Well, he was by himself though. He still managed to
That's
stay
just
to
a loner,
himself.
dude.
See, God, Pommeline and Olive having to research Gotham history. Was I the only one who, when Mr. Scarlet showed up, I thought for a second this might have been a nom de plume of Edward Nygma? This might be him.
I was like, wait, what?
Which it might still be. I admit, I've not finished Gotham Academy. And then this weird blonde guy shows up through there, and I was really hoping with his weird, creepy red eyes, I thought for a second, great, we found the vampire.
Yeah.
Because he appears several times in the book. He's stoic, and he's not wearing a uniform. He's wearing relatively normal clothes, and he appears at odd times. I really thought we just had found the Edward Cullen in this series.
It scared me for a minute, yeah.
Yeah. So they find another version of Millie Jane's biography, but this one has maps and handwritten notes, and it looks like it may be the actual first edition of this particular book.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Further on, Olive is watching her quasi-ex-boyfriend from a distance without her knowledge. I did like the teacher who was trying to have a quiet smoke and wouldn't even let her look her direction as she finished it.
Yeah.
That's fun hypocrisy.
While telling her, old habit, don't you go, and she's like, no, I won't.
Yeah. But she comes back to her dorm room, and her roommate Lucy isn't there, but her friend Maps is, getting ready to hammer through her wall just so she can find a secret passage.
Destruction of school property?
She reminds me kind of the 1960s Doom. Doom doesn't need to use doors. They follow what they think is another Spectre out to what could be Millie Cobblepot's crypt.
Mm-hmm.
I say could be because the people in it definitely didn't seem to be sure where they were going. Trying to run a ritual to re-summon the ghost so they can banish it. The last page on the book, when Olive grabs the book, figures out it's Pommeline and her boyfriend and another person, I thought for a second she was exhibiting some special power, the way that the fire was curling around her as she clutched the book.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it, especially with, saying, she is her mother's daughter, and I'm just like, okay, so her mom's a witch?
Yeah. Turns out it was just artistic license, and school administrators found them and summarily put out the fire and doused her with water, and they didn't need to. But Lucy thinks she found the ghost, and sure enough, there's some Spectre floating around the building. So Pommeline summoned the ghost just for a seance, and now she's trying to figure out how to banish it. She's not trying to rule the world via astral energy or anything bizarre like that. She's just another kid who listened to too many too many My Chemical Romance tunes or something? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
she doesn't seem very musically inclined. That would be her boyfriend.
Let's see. More misfires between Olive and her quasi ex-boyfriend. Did you catch the Easter egg when Pomeline's boyfriend Heathcliff is talking about music?
No.
He said he'd been listening to the new Ashes on Sunday bootleg. They tried out a new singer.
Yeah.
That's the Black Canaries band.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't realize that.
He started talking about a new singer, and I got curious because all this was lining up too much, especially when he mentioned their last Burnside gig. So I started putting words into search engines, and yes, that's the band the Black Canary joined.
Okay.
And she finds an Ashes on Sunday button on the roof, and as she's staring at this mysterious blonde guy again reading a book, she mentions to herself from what has to be about 150 yards away, "What are you reading?" And he holds up the book so she can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, the hell?
But then she gets distracted by motion in the North Hall.
And they see creepy eyes.
Yeah. So Olive, Maps, and Pommeline all decide to get the local school ne'er-do-well to cut them a solid so that he can get them inside the North Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the minor spin they put on this other character, Colton Rivera. Why he always wears the sunglasses is because he's got night vision goggles in them, or night vision lenses.
Or so he says.
He claims to, and he seems like the kind of guy that might actually know what he's talking about. He's mechanically inclined at the very least.
Mm-hmm. They enlisted his aid as he was trying to steal more car parts off of one of the teacher's cars.
Yeah. He's
which
industrious.
He actually says he has done before.
I know. They break into North Hall and find some odd symbols there, as well as a hole in the bottom that seems kind of old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Pommeline when she's trying to light the hole with her cell phone and accidentally drops it. She's so cavalier about it. Whatever. I got 2 more in my room. The frick kind of child are you?
Rich bitch.
Seems so easy. And then as Olive reaches in to try and grab it, a hand comes out to grab her.
Yeah, I'd freak.
Yeah.
I guessed who that was, and I guessed correctly.
Yeah.
I do like the next day when they ran out of or they were staring back at the building, which had now been roped off because they forgot to cover up their tracks, but they're still freaking out over being nearly grabbed. And let's see, Olive has another run-in with a mysterious blonde who seems to always be around where she's headed. Again, creepy.
Yeah,
and
a little noted by her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, he's way too Twilight for my taste. Did you notice Maps in art class drawing a beholder?
Yes,
yeah,
that was awesome.
Actually, the other thing I noticed in, I think, issues 1 and 2, that she has a Robotech pin on her backpack.
Yeah, and she likes to be a dungeon master in swords and spell books, as she puts it.
Serpents and Swords, I think, is the name of it.
I don't care. It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
To kind of cut this to the quick, because we're running a bit long, Alice finds another one of those weird symbols in a staircase in her dorm, pushes it, and it leads to a secret passageway behind several of the walls in the dormitory. She ends up going through several places before she comes to one particular location with recent pictures of her and her mother taped up on a wall. And as she's trying to understand what happened, she hears footsteps, turns around, and stares at Killer Croc.
Yeah, holy crap.
And here's my thing. She immediately says, "No, it's cool. I won't tell anybody about you, but I need to know about this." And I'm sitting there going, really? You just found out that this goes behind rooms, peeks into other girls' rooms, including your own, and you're totally cool with this freakish, thing who obviously has been watching and doing all of this stuff, and you're just like, no, that's cool. I just need to know about this.
She may have put it together on her own, because somebody with a record like Croc, if he wanted you dead, he already would have attacked.
Oh yeah,
that's all fine and good, but I mean, just ew. Just like creep factor through the roof there.
Well, I mean, that's where we ended the read. I mean, what do you guys think of the book thus far? Because I thought it was very curious.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I am interested in what this story is going to turn out to be, because I mean, barring
did some.
her fire episode, it looks like all of these kids are, for the most part, normal. I do kind of want to know their backgrounds, though.
Well, they are all 100% normal, actually. They don't have any powers whatsoever. Not a one of them.
Except
I didn't read.
Blonde dude.
Well, sort of. I read through a synopsis of this just so I can understand where it's going. I didn't have time to look up the other books. It's been a very busy weekend for me.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, he recently escaped from Arkham Asylum, where he met Olive's mother, Sybil. Remember during some of the issues when Olive mentioned that her mom was in a coma because her hospital collapsed on her?
Right.
That hospital was the one at Arkham Asylum.
Oh.
That's why she doesn't like the Batman, because Sybil has a split personality, a very loving one, which is the one she knows, and a very violent one, which Batman determined was dangerous enough to lock up in Arkham. Excuse me. So when Croc was in Arkham,
was afraid of getting taken by him. Okay.
No, that's actually a different story.
Oh.
To continue it though, while Croc was in Arkham, he got to know Sybil's gentler side, and when the hospital wing collapsed, Croc found his opening to go. He was able to escape, but he couldn't rescue Sybil. She was already hurt. Sybil made him promise to look out for her daughter. That's why he's creeping around the school, just because he's doing a favor for somebody he appreciates. You got to remember, this is the post-Flashpoint Killer Croc. This is the one who started his own fiefdom underground. He's not the lowbrow one. He's not the lowbrow one from prior comics. He actually wants betterment for people. He just doesn't know how to do it. So Olive pretty much released him from his vow after that and led him down a couple sewer paths that got him to a swamp. And he promised her that when she was ready, she could come seek him out, and he would talk about her mother. So he went his own way. Now, it turns out the reason why Olive is afraid of the Batman in general has nothing to do with the Batman. Olive sleepwalks.
And that's why her roommate wants to change rooms.
Yes, because she's doing creepy stuff at night, but Olive is not aware of it. Olive, during one of her sleepwalks, made it all the way into the North Hall, which is, of course, is supposed to be forbidden. But the ghost isn't a ghost. It's Olive in her nightshirt and her silver hair shimmering in the moonlight.
Oh.
She wandered in to the North Hall, and Croc was watching out for her, so as he tried to reach for her and protect her, the Batman tracked him down to the North Hall. They started a fight, and one of the Bat's phosphorus grenades set off some of the local timber, which is why there was a fire. And as the two of them fought, the Batman couldn't reach Olive. Croc couldn't reach Olive because they're busy fighting each other. What swooped in to save them was this mysterious blonde dude who it turns out has been infected with the Langstrom serum.
Oh!
That makes sense. That explains the creepy eyes.
Yeah, the Langstrom serum, for people who don't know, Dr. Langstrom developed a serum that accidentally turns people into anthropomorphic bats. He's known as the Man-Bat in comics. This guy, I forget his name, was infected by a virus based on the Langstrom serum, so every once in a while, he turns into a man-bat. That's why Olive is afraid of bat symbology, because she has these subconscious memories of standing in a fire and this gigantic bat thing coming at her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still curious.
Is he self-aware during the transformation? Because usually they're not.
He's the one that told her this happens. He seems to be very aware of himself in general. But unlike Man-Bat, where there's either the man or the Man-Bat, his two forms seem to be much closer in mentality. I'm not going to say he's not any more savage as this Bat thing, but he does seem to have one generalized mind in charge of both forms. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So, even though I now know all this, I still would like to read the last two issues of this particular story arc. The arc ends at issue 6, just because I'd like to see it all framed together. But I gotta admit, they put together a really good story in a segment of the DC Universe that I generally avoid as if it had Ebola. I don't like the Gotham side of the universe. I'm not a fan of the Batman. The Rogues Gallery is somewhat interesting. I'm still confused how anyone lives in this damn city.
True.
All of the weird things that happen that seem to wipe out whole neighborhoods, and people still live here.
And there's Metropolis.
Well, let alone it's also in New Jersey, which is another strike.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind them turning this particular story into an animated feature.
I wouldn't even say animated. I would say that Fox made a mistake by making their little Gotham prequel series. This is the TV show they should be making.
Mm.
It's more accessible to all ages instead of just the adults who idolize Batman. It's a new story that wouldn't take a whole lot by the way of special effects or extra work to make a workable series. And the writing is very accessible. You wouldn't have to rewrite.
It will be hounded by the adult fans saying, "Where's Batman?"
That's the thing is this series doesn't need Batman to be interesting.
No, it doesn't.
That's the most interesting part of it to me is that they've built a story in the same city as Batman that requires none of Batman to be a good story.
Yeah, other than the fact that Bruce Wayne's in it, and
Yeah, but that's where Gotham to me makes a mistake is that they have to almost entirely rewrite the Batman mythos to make it a workable prequel series. This one exists right there with it and only has small whiffs of Batman's influence throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's the part I forgot, because Batman came to Olive in issue 6 and asked her questions, and she basically said she's done and she doesn't want to see him again. She really just doesn't want to deal with him. She doesn't appreciate him for taking her mother and locking her up when she just needed help. Which, frankly, is a realistic argument.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, but let's...
I mean, she does need help, and yes, she did need to be taken away for sequestering. However, with Arkham's track record when it comes to rehabilitation, not the place to go.
Yeah, but then we've never been offered an alternative.
Ship him to Metropolis. It seems like they do better.
I've never seen an insane asylum in Metropolis.
They gotta have one because
or anything like that.
No, they won't have an asylum. They will have an institution.
Yeah, something a lot friendlier. Probably has sunshine on it too. But the thing is, she walks away, although she loses track of the original version of Millie Jane Cobblepot's biography book. That book ended up in the hands of another student who brought it to Batman, who was sitting in the headmaster's office. That new student was charged by Batman to make friends with Olive. That new student is named Damian Wayne.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he left a plant to follow Olive and her friends, who formed a new detective club as a result of everything happening, because they're sure that there's a lot more secrets within the academy than they know about. Which, given the way this place is built, probably true. Yeah. The weird symbols they've seen all over the place, I thought those were double W's. I thought those were like mirror W's having to do with the Wayne family. Turns out they're intersected A's having to do with Arkham Asylum.
Uh-huh.
So this place was built with direct connections to Arkham, which is how Croc easily found his way from Arkham to the Academy. I'm sorry, I feel like I forgot that part of the story, but there it is.
Gotcha.
But I actually would recommend this to a lot of different people. There's a lot of readers who could get enjoyment out of this because it's not a violent book. It doesn't ask a whole lot of difficult questions. It's a straightforward mystery. It's a non-complicated story, which is kind of rare in DC and Marvel comics both these days.
Mm-hmm.
Let alone, it's kind of refreshing to find, again, a Batman-associated book that requires no real history to get involved in it. You don't have to know who the Cobblepots are to give a crap.
No, you don't.
They actually do a decent job of explaining Croc, as far as I understand, the next couple issues, so you don't need a whole lot of history on him. And if you have any idea of Batman, don't need an explanation on that either. This is a good series for people who don't know much about anything to do with Batman to get involved in. It gives you little whiffs of his end of the universe without actually needing you to get head deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was suitably impressed by this. It's amazing how many books I'm finding out, like Black Canary and Batgirl of Burnside and now this one, that are all Batman related. And even though I don't like Batman, they're entertaining books. So I wish they would... I believe that Gotham Academy will continue post-Rebirth. I think they announced that there's a second... They call it the second semester.
Okay.
No, second year. Gotham Academy second year. So it's continuing post-Rebirth. Which is probably a good thing, because that's always been one thing that's difficult in comics, is to give people a good lean-in point.
Mm-hmm.
And Gotham Academy is a good one. You guys have anything else to add?
Oh, I'd like to explain something when I said slow. I kind of picked up on the whole dour character that Olive was and whatnot, but it was consistent. It was a consistent pace. I didn't feel like I rushed through it at all. I felt it was a consistently slow. Not to say it's a bad thing.
Well, it's just I think maybe part of that has to do with the negative amount of action in this book. There is no action other than characters accidentally falling down something or getting scared out of their minds, which is also rare in comic books. It's extremely rare in comic books, frankly, unless that book happens to be named Archie or Care Bears or something of that nature. However, even though there was no action in the book, that didn't mean that this wasn't an exciting or entertaining book. They did a good job with the art direction, making it seem like more mundane items are still energetic and threatening. So I got to give them full kudos. This was a well put together book in addition to well written.
And I liked the characters. I liked the kids. I mean, yes, they were, kids, so they had their annoying moments, but I mean that to me that represents them better, than basically being miniature adults, that
Oh.
Yeah. The only character that wasn't well fleshed out was Olive's quasi-ex-boyfriend Kyle, but that's because she spent most of her time in the first
avoiding him.
Entirely avoiding him because of her personal issues. So I understand why. It was just a case of every time he showed up, that's when I started to frown. It's like, he's bumming me out, for frick's sake. Go away. But yeah, I'm suitably entertained by this book. I would call it a positive. I'd call it an easy referral to people looking to find a leg up in DC or an entryway into DC. And I hope it stays consistent. I will look up future issues. However, in between all the other things I read, you'll forgive me if I fall out of this one by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's see. Next week. Actually, next weekend I'm going to be in Las Vegas doing this thing for Celestial Comics, so I'm going to be unavailable.
Jesse will be at his convention, so...
Yep. Yeah, so we'll call it a break. So what do we do the week after that? Is it time we had an earnest conversation on Batman v Superman?
I may be out of town.
Oh, you dick.
See. I don't know. I have to still confirm it with my work, but it's possible. But it should only be for a day, so we might be able to do it on Sunday or something.
Actually, I got an idea. Okay. Because the weekend I return and Jesse is back at home, it should be May 6th and 7th, or 7th and 8th, right?
No. There's still one more weekend of April, I think.
That's right. Okay. All
right. 30th.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Next weekend after next, let's do both Batman and Daredevil Season 2.
Okay.
Because that way we'll get to laugh and cry. And that means the weekend after that, we can talk Civil War.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like there.
Yeah. Sound like a plan?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the let's see, next week we're off. Week after that will be Batman v Superman and Daredevil Season 2, and then after that, we'll find out if Civil War is any good.
I laugh when you say that only because I just really don't see it being bad.
I don't see it being bad either, but opinions vary.
Yeah.
True enough.
And goodness knows the movie hasn't come out yet. However, that hasn't stopped Marvel from releasing the movie early in 25 countries. It's premiering in 25 countries before this one.
Of course.
Again, that's a statement of confidence. That's not a statement of quality. That means they really believe they have a money burner to the point where even the U.S. audience who has a chance to bootleg it will still go to see it in the theaters. Let's see if they're right. All right. So next time we come up, it'll be Batman v Superman and Daredevil Season 2. Thank you very much for tuning in. Invite you to roll with us again next week as we continue to annoy each other. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
And Jesse.
Don't jerk and drive. Take care of yourselves.
I'm quite surprised how much we bashed Batman v Superman, but we didn't talk dick about Daredevil.
We'll have a chance to talk a lot about Daredevil and his dick since you bring it up.